Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow, take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Happy Saturday. Bear with me. I'm having problems on two fronts. StreamYard's been acting weird today. It kicked off all of our admins and everybody out of my membership group that helps run the channel and all that. Kicked Vince out and everything else. And even I had to get back in. So I don't know if that was because of the new price change and the new upgrades, but that was kind of weird. Also, it never sent the certain notifications start coming out. So I'm going to stall for some time because I know some of you on Saturday night like to watch it. Also having some internet issues on both my good and my sucky internet. So let me check right now because I don't want to be coming through all grainy and shit. Let's see where I'm at. All right, right now I'm coming through sharp. But if at any point, guys, in the chat, I start graining and pausing and stuff, let me know, and then I'll restart everything because I hate doing a good stream, making a good thumbnail, doing a good stream, and then go home and see I'm like doing all this shit. It's like, don't like it. Welcome to the Saturday Overnight Live show. Brad will be along. He had things to do today in regards to Halloween. So same here with me. That's why I'm starting a little bit later as well as the other problems that I had. Today's show, we are going to celebrate the 40th anniversary, the 40th birthday, October 26, 1984 of Terminator, a franchise we bring up here all the time because you can't talk science fiction and dystopia without talking probably one of the greatest dystopic films ever made. We're going to do a spoiler review. Both me and Brad have seen Venom Last Dance. I gave my review on the channel. I enjoyed it. Was it Goodfellas? No, but I don't go to those movies for that. I go to those movies to have fun and see him eat heads and all that. I'm not a big fan of the character Venom per se. I am a fan of these movies, and I am a fan of Tom Hardy. So I enjoyed it. I don't know where they're going with it. And he kind of left it open-ended, but we will talk spoiler review of that. And the only other thing that I have on there is obviously the biggest picture is Absolute Wonder Woman hit this week. I sold out quicker than I sold out of Absolute Batman. I think that Absolute Batman is a slightly better book, but we're only talking like A++ and then A+. Both of them are excellent. I love where they're going to this world. They have done some things with her origin that are just outright cool. And we'll go over that. I am going to, when we get to that point, because I want to wait till Brad gets here, because he actually has a copy. I don't even have a copy of it. We're going to be using panels online. But Brad actually was able to get himself a copy. I sold all of mine. I got some more. I thought I had some more coming in a day, but I wasn't able to connect to what they're doing. We're going to do a non-spoiler because I know if I was selling out, it's selling out. And I want people, whenever that happens, I don't want to necessarily ruin it because there are some, just like there are in Batman, Absolute Batman, there are drastic and dramatic things. They don't give as much as far as the where, the why, and the how as they do in Ultimate. Oh, absolute ultimate. Um, by the way, there is no Ultimate Universe without DC laying the groundwork for parallel storylines that they themselves abandoned. But anyway, that's why I get it confused. Absolute Batman does more laying the ground for what Bruce Wayne is in this universe, but that doesn't mean Absolute Wonder Woman isn't brilliant. It is. Wow. Whoever decided on the colors for this book, by the way, deserves a race. All right, let's say hi to the chat. Oh, by the way, for those of you who were here for our Evil Dead, our OG Evil Dead screening, that turned into an impromptu Evil Dead 2 screening. I couldn't be there for most of it because I was busy today. Welcome back. We are still having, for those of you who are going to be getting the notification coming on late, sorry about that. I have no control over the lateness of these. I wish they would be right as they are. The one thing I do like about Twitter is immediately that we're on the air is as soon as we hit the button. So, all right. I don't know. I wish we would, because to be honest with you, I think Sony relies too heavily on what Tom Holland and Kevin Feige do over at Disney. I think they've absolutely wasted the right after No Way Home. They should have been on doing a movie with either or both of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield's star was on the rise. That was the perfect time. You had just reintroduced all that. Well, they'll be confused. Marvel and this and that was all bullshit. They really should have done something while the iron was hot there. I think I think they still can, but I don't know who they're. I don't know if when you say Venom universe, I don't know how long that's going on. I think Tom Hardy's Venom will be around, but I do think this is his last movie, unless they do some kind of. He brought up in a tweet, or somebody brought up in a tweet, he may do like a Logan style thing. That would be cool as well. But at some point, I think he wants to move on from the character. He seems happy where it's at. So like I said, I enjoyed Venom, but hey, a lot of people didn't. Yeah, we might do it a little bit later on, depending on how the show flows. How you doing, Spider-Man? I hope this stream compares to the watch along. Well, I can't compare to two Sam Raimi films. I mean, I don't know what you expect of me, but hey. Yeah, this one, and I adjusted numbers for this. I adjusted numbers because by the time the solicitations came around for Absolute Wonder Woman, I had already seen what was happening with Absolute Batman. And it was the easy sell because everybody that I gave an Absolute Batman to, or sold an Absolute Batman to, wanted the next part. And just the same thing is going to happen with Absolute Superman. So they got a hit on their hand, and I hope they keep it going. I really hope they keep it going. So yeah, you read it, and Brad read it. Yeah, because I had to read it really quick. I mean, I literally read my copy. I sat it right here, and then I had a customer come in and get my last copy. So yeah, I am going to when I get my physical copy in my hand is when I don't like to do the online review that I'm going to do like I did with Absolute Batman unless I physically have it in my hand to show you. I just like holding the comics. Oh, by the way, for those of you who were here earlier this evening when I was doing when we were doing the Evil Dead streams, I got it. This is for me one of my bucket list comics that I'd love to have in the store and haven't had a chance in like 20 years to have this comic in the store. It's gone up in price significantly. Most of the issues in that run went up, and this is Thor 337. And as you can see, Beta Ray Bill is on the cover. For those of you who don't know who Beta Ray Bill is, please go and read. There's a paperback that's out there somewhere. I need to get it in. That goes in the entire Simonson era. I think there's an omnibus out there that goes over the Simonson era. For those of you who like Thor Ragnarok and those type of movies, and my belief, it is my firm opinion, that they attempted to base a lot of their lore that they use in those movies off of this particular run of comics. And this is Walt Simonson's very first. This is 337 was when he started a run that would last from late 1983 all the way up till I believe, because I got the older ones up here. I believe 1987. Yeah, because he did Thor from, I believe, that this issue right here to Thor. I think it was 3. I want to say 3, because he went all the way through the Mutant Massacre. Those are his issues. Thor 383. Yeah, Thor 383. What was it released? Yeah. Actually, no, he went. Oh, let's see. Walt Simonson's run. Let's see who did this one. Okay, so he Simon. Well, Simon run on Thor. Let's see. Yeah, 1983 to 1987, and there is a Mighty Thor omnibus. If you guys ever want to pick that up, let's see how much it is. Came out in 2011. How much is this motherfucker? Yeah, 337 to 382. For the most part was his. I'm not paying $232 for an omnibus, but yeah, there you go. So yes, this particular episode began, and I know you see his picture somewhere in Thor Ragnarok. This character needed to be in Thor movies. How we've gone 4 Thor movies and are headed into a 5th Thor movie without Beta Ray Bill is nonsense. He alone would make those films watchable. So there you go. I was like, yeah, somebody bought this in me. Mark Niven, if you're local in Las Vegas, if you're watching the show, thank you. He bought this in for me. And like I said, it's one of the about 10 comics that I really want to get my hands on to have it in the store. I got a couple. One of them is Amazing Spider-Man 238, the first Hobgoblin. I want an original one of that one, but I want to wait for the price to come down. I don't sell a lot of back issues in that area here because my tourists come in and they have a different, train of thought when it comes to what they purchase. So I was happy to see that in. How you doing, Silent Forgotten? I have not forgotten you. Eventually, you will be able to click on our storefront. What I want to do is I want to set up I'll have the permanent links in the chat, but what I want to set it up with, and I don't know if I can do this with StreamYard. I want to be able to have the little icon, so say if the cover is on the comic. So I want to have the picture. I know you can do it. You may be able to do it with OBS and all that, but with OBS, it's harder to bring on guests. I would never be able to, manage panels on OBS. So I have to figure out a way on StreamYard. What I may do is I may just put the link directly in the not in the chat, but in the description. Maybe a little bit harder, but I would like to have it up so when we're talking about it like this, it's up on a graphic and you just click that graphic. I don't know if I can do that with StreamYard. I'm working on that right now, but I'm also working on the POS system. We're about a week away from maybe 2 away from doing that on the actual page, because the page will link directly to YouTube. And YouTube has a link for selling, and I'm exploring that link right now for that and how it does shipping and handling, things like that. Once again, when it comes to shipping and handling on comics, I got to be careful because I don't want the shipping and handling to exceed it. There are deals you can get out there as a business that shrinks down the shipping. The shipping. I am not there yet. I've got a whole bunch of other things going on, but my goal is to be there long before Christmas. So I want to go into November with all that set. So I will update you guys once that's all there. Hello, Azteca. All right, so let me check on something real quick. Oh, by the way, my LA Dodgers, 2 wins from another World Series. They beat the Yankees 4-2 tonight. It was a little bit tight at the end there. Yankees had the bases loaded with all their big hitters coming up. Dodgers survived. So 2 games in a row where you're like, oh my God, can't watch. And they do it. So 80% of the teams that win games 1 and 2 of the World Series win the World Series. I don't believe that there has been one to come back from 0-2 since not those Yankees, but the Yankees with Jared Jeter, Bernie Williams, Andy Pettitte came back against the defending champions at that time, the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves beat the New York Yankees 2 times in New York. The Yankees won the next 4. They won all 3 in Atlanta, and they came back and closed it out at Yankee Stadium. I don't think that's going to happen this year. This Yankees team is not that Yankees team. They have Hall of Famers on this team, but that Yankee team from 1996 all the way up till 2000 was an all-time great team. They were the last team in baseball to three-peat. So, and I just don't think the Yankees are better than the Dodgers at this point. I don't think there's any part of the game where the Yankees are better than the Dodgers. Yes, they have Soto, who caused problems today. Both of their runs were driven in by him. But up and down the lineup, I just don't see where the Yankees can pitch and not get themselves in trouble, whereas the Dodgers can pitch around Mike Judge or pitch to Mike Judge because he hasn't done anything, and then avoid some of the damage that the Yankees can do. I don't see it changing in New York. I don't see it change the scenery. Walker Buehler's on the mound. That's a big game World Series champion pitcher. So they may go up 3-0. I didn't expect the Dodgers to make it into New York without a split. I thought the Yankees would take one of these games. But now after what I watched today, I don't see anything changing. And I see the Dodgers possibly going up 3-0. The bullpen game might cause the Yankees to get a game. But when you go into the 2-3-2 format with both of your home games won, the absolute worst you could come back is down 3-2 with the last 2 at Dodger Stadium. I don't think the Dodgers are going to lose all 3 games there. They only need to win 1 to guarantee, to basically guarantee, it's coming back to Hollywood. So actually no, because they don't need to win any. It's coming back to Hollywood. So there you go. There's my sports analogy. How you doing, Chuck? Probably not. I cannot. I am almost certain that I cannot distribute this because I do not own the logo, and this is clearly a Shazam logo. Now I got to get with Film Junkie because I know he does things and he alters the image. I have to look now. I got to be careful though because not only Junkie's not a vendor. I'm a vendor of DC products. I'm also a promoter of DC movies and DC films. So I don't, it might violate my agreement to sell something that's even if I do the 20% change. I'm looking into that. I can give them away for people who are here if I have one. I've done that before. There are people walking around Vegas with this shirt on and my logo on it. But I have to. I don't want to get myself in any trouble, so I'll let you know. Yeah, Terminator is 40. Let that sink in for you. Terminator is 40. You got to do a little bit more than that. Stop trying to get me sued, Fourth. Damn. Cowboys and Niners tomorrow. Both of those teams need that game, but the Niners, having just come off the Super Bowl, I don't think their administration is on the hot seat like the Cowboys. Boy, the Cowboys better win that game tomorrow. Everybody's job is on the line. Dak Prescott's got to start showing up, dude. You're making $50 million a year or whatever he's making guaranteed. You gotta do better than that. Granted, his receivers need to stop dropping balls too, because I watched those games and I got some of their players on some of their receivers on my fantasy. And trust me, when you have a fantasy team, you feel all those drop passes because that's points, especially when they drop them in the end zone. When you're down 3 and you need that 6, and that some clown gets hit right in the numbers and drops the ball, and then they just kick the field goal or they run it in. Especially if I'm playing that guy who kicks the field goal or runs it in. That really sucks. Dallas receivers do that shit on me all the time. Where do we see The Rock and Roman happening? I don't think The Rock. I don't know if The Rock is going against him. Well, a lot of it, Chuck, depends on who The Rock sides with going into Survivor Series, because I think he's going to make an appearance at Survivor Series. You have 2 factions of Bloodline. I think The Rock is going to choose Roman's side because I don't think Solo Sikoa. I don't think Solo Sikoa needs the heat. He already has it. So hey, thank you for coming to me. Listen, guys, I got to start getting doing some stuff with the memberships. I'm having some issues trying to figure out how I want to do it. We have been releasing some videos, but I want to start doing what Junkie does. I bring up his name a lot because between him and Chris Long Simpson, those are the light that I followed into YouTube. I want to start doing some members only streams. So I think I think I need to do that directly from YouTube. Vince, if you're in the chat, let me know if that's the case. Hold on for a second. I got people texting me. Come on. Dude, this internet is shitty. Once again, guys, let me know if I start getting choppy in the chat. There we go. Edit. Finish. But thank you for becoming a member. Like I said, I'm going to start rewarding you guys here pretty soon. I don't know if I want to do a watch party for Gladiator as much as I love that movie, and I think I'm going to love. We went all over the place when we were trying to raise money for charities and things like that. And as the channel grows, I want to try to keep the movies to the expectation of a brand new viewer. When you say Sci-Fi Center presents, we went a long streak where we were just showing things that had nothing to do with science fiction, horror, and fantasy. I need to kind of stick to where we're at right now. Eventually, we can go and start doing those kind of movies again. But we drifted away. And I look at our numbers. Our numbers are strongest with viewership when we are doing what our name entails. So I'm promoting Gladiator 2 maybe soon, but other than that, I don't know if I can really justify it personally. Let's see, dude. All right, but thanks for the question, Braden. They're saying Belichick would show up in Dallas, but I don't think he fits the. No, Belichick. If you bring in Belichick, you're gonna have to step away. Jerry Jones is gonna have. And by the way, Jerry Jones, this is his team. He's as much to blame as anybody. Jerry Jones is gonna have to step away because Belichick is gonna come in and he's gonna lift up that hand, and he's gonna show those 6 rings to Jerry's 3. And he's going to say, you let me do this, my way or the highway. And I don't think Jerry Jones is going to let that. He should, because with him in complete control, they haven't won a Super Bowl. They've only won a handful of playoff games in general. I think they only won 3 playoff games since 1996. So maybe it's time for somebody like Belichick to come in. I don't think Belichick to be the general manager either, but I don't think he's going to work well with having to deal with somebody meddling all the time. I can barely keep the food in my stomach thinking of Ace Ventura. So why would I do ace from the bread? I leave that nonsense up to Brad. Um, there's a difference between being someone's friend and working for them. Totally different relationship dynamic. You can kick back and have beers with somebody and go to their house for dinner and barbecue and everything else. It's a completely different dynamic when you're working for them in a high stakes situation like the Dallas Cowboys are. So yeah, they're friends, but I don't think that necessarily means, once again, the only way I ever see Belichick coming in is if Jerry Jones steps back and allows him to do what he's going to need to do to get that team right. I think all the pieces are there for a Belichick ran team to do well. You have a quarterback Dak Prescott is really good, but everything below that, some of them personnel decisions are bad. Some of their play calling, I don't know what Mark McCarthy, is doing sometimes. I don't think he does. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, and he was sort of validated with Barry Switzer coming in, but that was those teams. By the time they won that third Super Bowl with Barry Switzer, that team was trained. You didn't need to coach that team. Is he born in California? I thought he was born in Oklahoma. Well, he could be raised in Oklahoma. Hey, he was born in L.A. Well, it's 1942, different L.A., but yeah, but he hangs around. He's from the South. Doesn't have that L.A. accent. That's fine. Yeah, he does need to. I think he needs to step back. And I don't want Stephen Jones. If I'm a Cowboy fan, the last person I want is Stephen Jones. Yeah, but it might be, I don't think you will get one until possibly we're in October right now. So I'm guessing you may get one. Maybe, okay, because the movie comes out in July. If you do it in Super Bowl Sunday, that's February. 5 months. 5 months. What is Warner Brothers got coming out? I mean, they don't really have much coming out to really push it. I would say the latest you would see a trailer would be Super Bowl Sunday. Because generally, I guess the rule, I mean, I think they should have been doing it before. I think normally you do a trailer 6 months out and then you break it down to 30, 60 day, 90. But when you're talking about a brand name that needs rehabilitating, I don't think they should have waited this long. But then again, hey, what do I know? But I would say the latest Braden would be Super Bowl Sunday. I don't grab beers. I don't drink alcohol. I never even tasted the shit. So that's not me. Jimmy Velasquez, I got that Mets thing on. I was hoping if I was wondering if I'd ever see you again after my Dodgers kind of ended your season, but I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you didn't take that personally. Cowboys will not win as long as Jerry's still around. I agree. They haven't won since I was 9, and that's only because it was the team switching here. Exactly, 100%, 100%. Brad said he's going to be about a half hour late. He's doing the trick or trunk thing, so. Yes, we are going to talk about Venom 3. I'm kind of trying to wait till he gets here as well because he saw it as well. But then again, like I said, I can give you spoilers just as easy as he can. But like I said, when it's the last Saturday before Halloween, we're all busy right now. So I'm surprised I was able to get wow, the Lakers are beating the hell out of the Kings. I was surprised I was able to get the Evil Dead on because I was not sure if I was going to be available today, and I was. I'm happy. So, I heard those were gross, but then again, I have nothing to compare it to. So, if it wasn't for Steven Stones, we would have drafted Johnny Manziel or Zach Martin. So Steven has talked Jerry out of some dumb move. Yeah, but if he's running the show, he's still going to have his old man ultimately, and because it's his team. So unless he just, what says here, son, I'm out of here. But I don't think he can do that. I don't think he can do that. I mean, hell, at 82, maybe I want to go off and take a cruise somewhere, but not him. William doesn't be the devil's name. Oh, that what you call it? Is that your name for alcohol? Yeah, his karate school is doing an event tonight. I'm starting to notice every time they let replays go up to New York, the enforcer rule, knowing they're wrong, admitting they're wrong, and play later just to show New York doesn't make mistakes. Yeah, there was I'm starting to see that both here. That call, I watched the WNBA finals, so I enjoy basketball, period, and the WNBA is basketball. The Lynx got screwed. That shouldn't have been a foul. And it went back to the same New York office. Is the NBA league is the same people who watch those. It's the same league office. And so for NBA, and then I don't know where do they go? Do they go for New York for football? Football's instant replay is starting to make me mad. It's cost me fantasy games, damn it. Because you'll clearly see that there's enough evidence to overturn something, but they won't do it. Listen, there's nothing wrong with making a bang play. I mean, and if you have the technology to change the call, do it, because it looks bad if you don't. If we can all see it, and you guys have more camera angles than the guy at home can see it, it looks really bad, and people already think everything is fixed and against them. So, yeah, that's a problem. I do agree. Brad will be here if he's here when he's done with his trunk or treat thing. Let's see. I'm proud of the Mets. We were never picked to be there, and they lost to a better team. But congrats on beating the Yanks again. I'm rooting for you because I never root for the Yankees. Yeah, how intense is the rivalry between? I've been to New York, but I didn't grow up in New York. I mean, I always thought New York was one big city, but and as I grow up, I'm like, ooh, no. People from Brooklyn are from Brooklyn. People from Queens are from Queens. People from the Bronx are from the Bronx. Long Island, Staten Island, all those guys. You are in the same city, but it's almost like there's 5 different planets in New York, and they get offended when you say one. Let's see. Just checking my fantasy. All right. You're welcome. Who knows, man? Sometimes the situation may dictate it. I mean, sometimes we may not be able to have a stream unless, but neither one of us, neither myself or Brad were available this afternoon. So maybe I'll do it a lot more. What do I think of a Spider-Man Deadpool film? I don't want to see it. I don't want to see that. I have no desire to see any version of Spider-Man ever team up with Deadpool. If it hadn't been for Wolverine being in this last Deadpool movie, I would have been watching bits and pieces of whatever Deadpool 3 would have been here on Disney Plus or Hulu. I would not have wasted my time to go see that. I don't like the character. I think the character is silly. It's not meant for me. I know a lot of people love it and continue to enjoy it, but I cannot stand the Deadpool character. I can't stand the way the character has evolved into a joke. Since New Mutants 98, since he first appeared in this very comic right here, I believe. This is like you're looking at the last time Deadpool was actually taken seriously, but you know what? So yeah, not a fan of the character, and I really don't. I'm kind of annoyed that that a lot of people want to see Spider-Man team up with anybody at this point. I don't want to see Spider-Man teaming up with Deadpool for sure. I really don't want to see him teaming up with Spider-Man. Oh, but you got to do it. You got the fucking comics for that. You got TV shows for that. Do not blow time on a movie with another Spider-Man team up. You've done that enough. The next time I see Spider-Man, he needs to be by himself, fighting his villains. No more team ups. No more, side character. None. No, Spider Man. That's who I'm paying to see. His entire first trilogy, it was being upstaged by someone else. For Homecoming. Homecoming. It's Robert Downey Jr. Far From Home. A dead Iron Man's glasses. And in 3, all a bunch of other Spider-Mans, which is cool, but then Doctor Strange. So I don't want to see Spider-Man teaming up with anybody else. I don't need it in the comics. He does just fine. No guest. No, you want to put him on the Daredevil show? Maybe fine. But when I only got 2 hours or so to tell a story in a movie, I want it to be about the character that I paid to see. That's just me. I don't want to see Spider-Man and Daredevil. Yeah, I was watching, and I reposted it on my Twitter page. There was there's this group called the Pinstripe Territory guys, and they do a lot of social media. And they had somebody had posted them. They were watching it live. I watched their live stream afterwards just to see how they would react to Freddie Freeman's Grand Slam. Man, they reacted just like I thought New Yorkers would react like. Somewhere in New York, they were looking for the Yankees coach because some of those decisions that were made. So yeah, and then today they had the bases loaded and trying to get them out. The Dodgers pitchers during this postseason have done the job. Yamamoto came in there, $325 million. Oh, he's breaking too much. Him and Shohei Ohtani, who, by the way, his shoulder's fine. They've done it. They've done it. He gave the Dodgers everything they needed. He went 6 deep. He went deep. So less bullpen action. Struck out all, but didn't pitch around anybody tonight. Struck out all the big hits. Yeah, gave up a blast to Juan Soto and another hit to Juan Soto. But you know what? If it's one Yankee every other now and then, instead of them getting runs and clumps in the late innings, I can take what happened tonight because now they got him in a 2-0 hole, and with Walker Buehler. Absolute worst case scenario, you come back down 3-2. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think the Dodgers get a game and they come back 3-2. Or I can say I don't know. It could be a sweep. It could be a sweep. I don't think it's going to be a sweep. It's really hard to sweep a team that like the Yankees, but I'll take it. Fuck it. Yeah, Dallas. Now you got Houston. You got other teams in there that are doing better. I'd say the rivalry with the Yankees, I'd say, is more with the fans anyway. Until we start winning more championships, I remember friends and family not talking to each other in the city. Yeah, man, it's different when you're from like this, like San Francisco and like Dodgers fans and Giants fans. We're in the same state, but that's way up north. You guys are literally in the same city. I'm not. I mean, I'll go see it, but if I don't get that, I'm like, especially the current version of the Hulk, he would have to be savage. And to be honest with you, there's not a lot of story there. It's a Hulk screaming. Now they did. This is the 181. Now they did another one in Hulk 340 when McFarlane and Peter David were on the book, and Hulk was more sentient, talking and everything else. But even still, there's not much for them to fight over. To be honest with you. Wow, looks like you're in danger, Brad. What are the store hours on Wednesday? I plan on stopping by to visit Sister Kim's. By the way, Wednesday's Sister Kim's closes at 5, so come in early. My hours on Wednesday are going to be 11 to 4:30, simply because that's our 4th annual Rocky Horror Picture Show at the Ellis Island Casino. Yeah, I will be leaving the store early to beat the traffic from the F1 and then get everything set up there. So yeah. Let's see. What, dude? The Lakers are killing the Kings, and they've given up 127 points. They're still winning now. Wow, damn. Yeah, the Yankees are a hateable team. I'm tired of them throwing up that we got 27 titles. I'm like, a lot of your titles came when baseball wasn't integrated. You got a lot of Hall of Fame Negro League players that never got a chance to take swings at Yankee pitchings and vice versa. So, William, hypothetically, if they decide to reboot these three franchises, oh, jeez, Anthony, why do you do this to me? Hypothetically, if they decide to reboot these three franchises, Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers actors, what do you think would fit? Um, it doesn't matter. Just put any stiff in the suit, dude. At this point, I mean, you have because the guys who do them now are going to be too old by the time they redo them. Like the Kane Hodders are excellent, but at this point, I don't, just get the best physical actor that you can get that can do the moves, and that's it. Because none of them say anything. I think you need to stay away from Freddie because I don't think anybody is going to accept a Freddie besides Robert Englund anytime soon. Okay, so it is. All right. All right. So hold on. I am going to. All right. We're going to go ahead and switch over to internet here right now. Give me a second. I'll be right back. All right. I hope that's better. That's just getting tonight. All right. Thank you for the heads up, Rational. There's no such thing as a movie that is not made better by the casting of Denzel Washington. Whatever your movie is, if it sucks and everything about the movie sucks, and you add Denzel Washington in it, your movie just got better. It might still suck, but it's not any worse for having Denzel in it. Now, Dormammu is going to have a Brooklyn accent. We're going to have to accept that. It doesn't matter if he's from an ancient dimension from across reality. Whatever Denzel is playing, it's going to have an accent from Brooklyn, and I'm fine with it. So yeah, I'm. It's a weird casting, but once again, you don't get worse by casting a 2-time Academy Award winning actor. You just don't, especially one of that level. I think people are going to. Get reminded of that if Gladiator 2 is as good as I think Gladiator 2 will be. Denzel would kill any character you put him at. Any one of those characters, I think that Denzel's just great. He's just a great. Boy, you guys love using the chicken emoji. Yeah, I guess when you're playing Michael Myers, the most important thing for you is going to be to get the feel and get the moves right and get the mannerisms right. I mean, and it may sound easy because he doesn't do a lot, but there are things. I mean, I've seen other people play him, and they don't do a good job. So it is really important that you get those things done right in any of those movies. I don't mind him. Like, okay, he did make an older booking decision yesterday or last night with Motor City Machine Guns. And be honest with you, I was happy to see that because I don't know how long we're going to have those guys around. They are in awesome shape, but they're both in their 40s now, and they do a high impact, high risk style of wrestling. So I was happy to see them get in there and get something around their waist. I wish they would not have gone to WWE because I don't think the matchups are superior there. I would have rather seen them stay in or go to AEW because you can go to New Japan, you can go to CMML, you can go to different, you can wrestle in all over the place and have different styles. With WWE, yeah, you can have them on NXT, you can have them on WWE, and you can have them on TNA. That the TNA thing might have been one of the things that that's their home. They helped build that company. So I see that if they thought that there was a easier path going back and forth to still make their good money, but I'm happy for them because they really earned a big paycheck. They've done a lot for the sport of wrestling in general and probably got underpaid for it. So I think that's good. But as far as some of the older stuff, yeah, I'm tired of some of the older guys. I mean, Randy Orton's been. I mean, here he is, back in the main event scene. I mean, so you still have Roman Reigns, but that's obviously going to bring The Rock back in. Kevin Owens. I mean, so a lot of these guys, it's not so much their age too; it's the fact that they've been the overexposure of them too. So. Final, the Lakers 131 to 127. The Lakers are undefeated. They are 3-0 now, but you got to clamp down on the defense, man. You can't be getting up 127 points. All my teams won today, by the way. The LA Kings won today. My Dodgers obviously won in the World Series. And the Lakers just won. It's been a long time since all three of my teams won. No, there is no confusion to be had between me and Denzel Washington. Well, they wanted to keep Edge. Edge decided to leave. I don't know what the background. Bobby Lashley, he's 48. I think he's pushing 50. He's in awesome condition. Still has years left. AJ Styles is injured. They said I heard AJ Styles is going to be out. I wish AJ Styles would have left WWE a long time ago because I think he would have been handled better in other places. I think he would have. I wish he had the opportunity to come to AEW. He didn't want to. A lot of these guys, once they go to WWE, that's where they want to stay. And it's like, fine. I can, it's a business decision. Everybody, a lot of people think that WWE is the pinnacle of everything, but there's been a lot of guys who have never wrestled and will never wrestle in WWE that are doing just fine. No, I don't think the MCU should do a reboot of any kind. And the word reboot, once again, if you want your project to fail or have the perception of failure and confusion, add the word reboot to it. It'll do the rest for you. What MCU is doing is realigning the stuff that they like and want to go forward with without the stuff. Even if you wanted to call that a reboot, even if it technically was, which I don't think it is, the word reboot has been so fucked up, misused, and associated with not good things that no one who wants to be successful in anything should ever use it. Invent a word if you need to. Use long-winded sentences to describe what you're doing. You use the word reboot. You want to see somebody put their money back into their wallet and that wallet back into their pocket and walk away from you, go ahead and use that word. So no, I do not think they're doing a reboot because a full reboot is not necessary. And there's too many things that they like currently that they can go forward with without disrupting everything. The way the storyline is written, they can add things like Fantastic Four and stuff into the timeline without rebooting anything. Just the way Loki season 2 ended, that lets you know, because there's going to be a lot of, you're not going to reboot the Avengers. You may not use them as much, but you're not going to reboot them, and you don't need to. With the way that Loki ends up with all the strands of reality in his hands, all those things are in existence now. Even if you consolidate them, all you're doing is keeping what you want and going forward what you want, and basically no longer referring to the other stuff. So no, I don't think any company right now, DC, Marvel, anybody, needs a reboot of any kind. Selective realignment, and no, that is not the same thing. Or reboot, we've already given plenty of examples of reboots. Most reboots fail. So I think they're going to keep the things that work for them, and then they're going to add new things, and then you'll have a consolidated reality. But no more reboots, no more reboots anywhere. Yeah, Bobby Lashley's 48. Tell you what, man. Tell you what. Yeah, born in 1976. That's 48-year-old Bobby Lashley. He's in the army, so that was his old stuff. That's Bobby Lashley. He looks exactly like this right now. So yeah, I think Bobby has a little bit in the tank. I think he has. I think he'll be all right. All right, most reboots fail to begin with because generally, especially if you do an intergeneration reboot, which means you still have the things going on, and don't people try to use Spider-Man rebooted with Tom Holland. No, he joined the MCU is what he did. That didn't reboot anything because they just never did anything more with those movies. That was something that was a business deal. That wasn't really a reboot version of the character. And even still, if it hadn't been for the MCU in existence, that wouldn't have worked. The only reason you got a Tom Holland Spider-Man was because Marvel's universe was already in existence, and Kevin Feige at that time didn't use other people's versions of the characters at that particular time. So that one's not the same. Most of the times when you're doing a reboot, you have to go to the reasons of why the reboots are happening. Somebody comes along and thinks things are too complicated for them to untangle or make light of, or make heads or tail of. So they want to do their own thing. Or something has gone horribly wrong. So you're already starting off with circumstances that put the odds out of your favor to begin with. When you're rebooting, that means you're abandoning something. You're abandoning a story. And the audience, in many cases, that you are trying to draw from this to get involved in this reboot, your audience are usually the people you just fucked. If you're doing an intergenerational reboot or you're doing something like that, in very rare cases, the audience that you're relying on are generally the people you may have just cut off, unless you're doing it like years and years down the line. See, people use the reboot word and they misuse it. Like they say, well, Ben Affleck's Batman was a reboot of the franchise, and then Nolan was reboot of the. No, those movies ran their course. You're basically reimagining those characters, and like I said, so the fuckheads are like, "Oh, this is the same thing as a reboot," even if it is. If you're trying to do something positive that you want to sell to somebody, whether it is or not, don't fucking use that word. So, because when you do that, the pool of people that are in that demo are probably being left, if you do it that soon, left hanging. Hellboy. The audience that you were trying to get to go see a Hellboy movie were the same ones that had no use for your new Hellboy movie. They were still wanting Ron Perlman. So you're forsaking a audience that's already there for a maybe audience that probably isn't there. You're forsaking the customer that's already in front of you for some maybe shit down the line. That's really risky, And in most cases, it fails for those reasons. A lot of people, when they hear the word reboot, if they have any connection to the original versions of those IP anytime soon, and I'm not talking about 20, 30 years ago, I'm talking about within the last 4 or 5 years. If they had any connection to that one that you're replacing, they're already turned off. And for the casual fan that might, that's not going to hate you, you throw the word reboot, that automatically they see that as, oh, well, shit, I just wasted my time with the other thing. Now you're restarting. There's too many shiny other objects to go to. So that's, in my opinion, why statistically most reboots fail. Yeah, Shelton Vindeman's 49. He looks godly too. It's just, there you go. That's cool. Like I said, and I'm glad they're going to get their run. I'm glad they're going to get their run and, get like I said, whenever you put your body on the line like those guys have for like the last 20 years, I'm always happy to see you get, because right now, if they get a good paycheck, they can retire. Dude's built like you. Sure, buddy. I don't know enough about what he's selectively keeping, Chris. Because he's keeping things that happened in Suicide Squad and Peacemaker and not referring to other things. And his rules that he put out a couple of weeks back were, how he deals with things that are canon and non-canon is how they refer to them. So if they don't refer to them, then you don't need to even worry about it. So I got to see a little bit more from him for clarification on that one. But I know Rico's not. I don't even know if there's a word, but I know that I get what you're asking me though. Let's see if our. Hold on, I'm just texting Brad. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to multitask and I'm not good at it. There you go. That is sent. All right. Pretty soon we're going to start getting into our topic. Well, I'm still mad I'm not getting a third entry into the Alien prequel trilogy, but I don't like I don't. You may not need one, Chappie. If you watched Romulus, you may get your story told there. I don't know about getting a full blown movie,
Okay, everybody. So while William's getting back live, I thought I'd go ahead and jump in because I just got back on. As William mentioned, I'd be a little bit late getting on today because I was out this evening and oh yeah, and now he's coming in after me.
Yeah, I'm having all kinds of issues. I've been having issues all day. What was I saying? No, as far as the alien, the prequel, the requels, whatever the aliens, I think you're going to get that story told with the subsequent stuff that's happening now. I think Fede Alvarez loves it. He respects it, and I think we'll get it.
So something about the Alien prequel trilogy right before I came
in. Yeah.
They're blaming it on me, of course. Yeah, I thought I was sitting backstage. I thought, why not?
All right, I'm just making sure I didn't mix anything. Yeah, this is. I'm not. I don't know if I can improve my internet situation, so it is what it is. All right. Yes, let's go Dodgers. Two more to go. All right. So I'm going to jump right into. Go ahead and grab your copy of Absolute Wonder Woman because you actually have one and I don't.
Let me see. I got it over here somewhere. Yep, right here.
Yeah, I have more coming in. All right, so let me bring today.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Fourth. It was fun. Like I mean, obviously a lot of kids from the school were there, but also, I mean, it was the whole town. It's like you get news of a trunk or treat, people start turning down. Yeah, it was a pretty fun event. Yeah, and then I went out. I just went over to the movie theater after that event. Went to a late show, but I mean, it's like I thought it'd be over before in time for the show. Sorry, William also mentioned you had said you expected we'd be starting later than usual, so I thought there wasn't going to be any overlap. And then when he said we're starting soon in there, I'm like, oh shit, I guess I got to tell him like as I'm sitting here. So I'll be a little bit late getting on tonight.
All right, here's some of the variant covers. I'll have these coming in. I'm completely out.
Have you read it yet?
Yeah. Yeah, I read it and sold the copy right out of my hand. That big ass giant sword. I think that's a Jim Lee cover. This one, this is Scotty Williams or Scotty, what's his face? He does these kind of ones, and I have one of these. That one's a nice one. That one's really nice. That one might be my favorite. This one, actually, no, this one. This is the one I used for the thumbnail. This one, that one looks great. And then you have a Gateway City one. So, all right. So, I like Absolute Batman slightly better, like I opened up the show with, but that means it's an A+ versus and like an A++. I mean, there's just no the risk they took with her origin story are really cool.
Oh,
by the way,
God,
I love these colors. I love the blood red dominant.
Yeah. And we initially speculated she was writing a Parademon horse here, which that's not what she's writing.
This is a non-spoiler review, by the way.
Okay, so we can't go into where she was raised, I guess.
Well, that part was revealed in the premise. She was raised in hell. Diana, the one, obviously, instead of being raised on Themyscira, and
she was still born there.
They didn't even give you that during this issue. Huh? She's still born there. But she was taken. And I'm not going to tell you who took her. And I'm not necessarily going to tell you who she's given to. Although I don't think that ruins it for you. I don't think there's a real way to ruin this comic, but that's fine. I know some people got it sold out from under them. So she's raised in hell. She gets her witchcraft and sorcery from a very important character in DC mythology. And a very important character in Wonder Woman mythology. So she has some dark magic about her. What else can I tell you about? There's a reason why she's armed and the way she looks. And a lot of it is because of who raises her. And it's not Hippolyta. It's not there. The title is called The Last Amazon.
And there was a reason for that.
There's a reason for that as well. I don't know what. I want to break out and spoil it because it's Saturday.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the same.
know.
I mean, the same thing I say about Absolute Batman. I mean, Absolute DC. From what we see, I mean, it's so. I mean, the word. I mean, the term I would use to describe this is heavy metal. I mean, this is such a heavy metal reimagining of the DC characters so far. So much so that I'm like, my God, what have they got cooking for Superman? I mean, it is. I think the Absolute Batman. That's the story. The length is slightly longer in Absolute Batman. But again, the tone is that they've given to the Absolute version of all these characters. Again, it's just punk rock DC. It's just hard. It's heavy metal. Just balls to the wall. You take no prisoners. It's like breaking rules left and right, and you're making no apology for it. Yeah, I have absolutely loved what we've seen so far with Absolute DC. You go ahead and read some of the comments here.
Damn it! I was looking for my copy of Wonder Woman: Dead Earth. I think that this story has the potential to be the best thing since Wonder Woman: Dead Earth. Okay. And Wonder Woman: Dead Earth for me, DC Black Label is the best Wonder Woman story. So that's what it reminded me of. A lot of the imagery and a lot of the clothing that you see her using. Her lasso is not the lasso of truth. Yeah. Not at all. And they don't give you a lot to go on. Like
in terms of like motivation, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to spoil a little bit like this. She's raised in hell because she's been taken away from the Amazonians for something they've done, which is it was not revealed. And Apollo is the one that gifts this child to this particular godlike being and magician. And they don't tell you what the Amazons have done. You can't even speak the word Amazon. The gods have made it so that you can't say the word. In the book, when a particular character tries to say the word Amazon, it crosses it out. It's neat the way they do it. But that is a big part of the story too, because that changes throughout the first issue. So they set up issue 2 brilliantly, but they give you some basic stuff. There are some flashbacks to give you a bit of the outright origin of her, as far as who she is, where she's from, but they don't tell you why. They don't tell you the why. And I know it, that's fine. The panels here, like I said, the blood red is dominant throughout the book.
Oh, yeah.
It is dominant throughout the book. I really enjoyed the way they used it. The horsey is not a parademon. It's just a fucking demon.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
It's just a demon. And given where she's from, she has, her upbringing, she's got access to things that the normal Wonder Woman's not going to have. She is going to have access. She has access now to magic that no Wonder Woman has had. And there's a reason why. So, I enjoyed this. I'll go ahead and spoil it. Fuck it. All right. So basically, what ends up happening is Apollo comes in. Cersei is the one who raises her. Cersei is sitting in there, and it makes you look like she's gonna make a woman out of clay, and that's gonna be Cersei instead of Hippolyta. No. Sky opens up. Here comes Apollo. Apollo comes in and says, "Take this child." And it's because there's some crime. The taking. Oh, I thought I disappeared again. The taking of Diana from the Amazons was because of something that they've done, a crime that they've done against the gods. So she's gifted the child. Cersei's in hell, and she raises her in hell. And so all the little animals and all that, she's raised around all these things. Cersei raises her to use and trains her to use Cersei's magic, which is very powerful magic. It's dark magic. And then she makes her way, there's a moment there where Diana realizes that she's an Amazon, and that allows the words to be said, and the words being said allows Cersei to empower her with a whole bunch of cool shit, including that big ass sword.
Yeah.
And the villain she fights this fucking pyramid. Looks like something from Stargate. Comes out of the pyramid, and this big giant thing comes out. What was his name? Something Prime something. I don't have the book in front of me. Prime something. He's huge.
It's basically an upside down pyramid floating in the sky.
What was that guy's name? Imperator Prime or Inheritor something Prime.
Yeah.
He comes out, big giant lizard looking thing. She wipes out his little army. Comes out first. His little red army comes out. She fucks them all up, and she does the thing with the bracelets. But it looks cool. You can kind of see right there at the bottom there. If the stupid ass ad wasn't in the way, there you go. Right there, and that third panel to your right there, she uses her bracelets. She just wipes them all out. Fortunately, the big lizard dude brings them all back, so he's a problem. But yeah, this comic is this is a fun ride.
Oh yeah,
this is just another piece in a in a fun. Oh, by the way, I have neglected the other books that have been coming out because I don't have them with me here. But they are. This is only. I've provided lopsided focus on Absolute because it's so distinctly different. There's another half of the story that's running in the normal books. That is really important too, because it's all going to come together. It's all going to run concurrently. So Absolute Wonder Woman, the covers for these are beautiful. I just showed you the variants. The covers are beautiful. I used one as my thumbnail. I am excited about this. And now we got Superman coming along. I'm hearing Superman is the most drastic of them. How do you get more drastic than Diana being born in hell or being raised in hell?
Really, so it's the most okay, because what they've already done with Batman and Wonder Woman, that's the bar really, really high.
And what did they do? What did the Amazons do? They must have messed up.
Exactly, because it's revealed explicitly that they have some kind of break with the Olympian gods, but it's not said. Again, there's some kind of transgression they've made against the Olympians, but it isn't said specifically what they did. That Apollo led Apollo to take Wonder Woman to Cersei in hell. There's something they've done to piss off the Olympian gods.
Is that her domain? Did she get sent there herself? I didn't really look at that because she's in hell when they deliver the child to her. So
yeah.
So that I don't know if that was her domain. I don't read as much Wonder Woman lately because I don't like where the story is going. But but now I do. But Wonder Woman now is taking a different turn because, like I said, they've made changes to the other books, so I'm giving that a try. The whole point that he was trying to do is to get everybody buying DC Comics again, and he's using Absolute as a doorway in there. So it's working. It's definitely working.
It's working in spades, because there are. Yeah. I mean, they announced second printing before this thing even hit the shelves, with Wonder Woman. So, and that's, what you said about, Superman of the Trinity is the most drastic reimagining. That is like. Holy shit! What do they got? I was already thinking that, like, what have they got, for Superman? But now it's like, now to hear that explicitly said, or that's the word of mouth on it, is that Superman is the one that really takes a left turn. Bring it, and it's on November 6th. It'll be out, so that is that's a week from this coming Wednesday. So I can't wait to get my hands on that.
I don't know if Cersei is a Lord of Chaos. I don't know. All right. So you guys are talking. What are you guys talking about? Card games. What are you doing? Oh, you're talking about Pokemon. All right. Let's see. All right. So yeah, that's one item off the thumbnail.
Yeah. One thing. Also, I'm kind of this just occurred to me, and I'm a little bit kind of wondering if you've heard anything about this, because of the individual Justice League characters, we've got solo books going for Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, and there are two, because I'm looking at the Wikipedia page right now, there's 2 TVAs have been announced. So I would expect at least one of those is going to be for Aquaman. Like, have you heard anything about Aquaman being in kind of in
furthest I know. The furthest I saw, it was Green Lantern, unless I'm
Okay.
missing something.
Yeah, well, Martian Manhunter comes after Green Lantern. Well, not very far after though. It's going to be in March. But yeah, I'll pull up the Wikipedia outline for it here because it lays out all the. So I mean, yeah, and this has got to. I mean, if it wasn't, this has got to culminate in some kind of like, what are they going to do? Like bringing this all together as Absolute Justice League. But yeah, as you can see, the ones that are already confirmed: Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter in that order, and we've got 2 TBAs here. So yeah, I think it's a really good. I think it. I would almost say it goes without saying that one of those is going to be Aquaman.
I wouldn't bet on it.
You don't think so?
I wouldn't bet. It all depends on where he wants to take the story.
Look, and one part of the reason I say that is because I mean, Martian Manhunter, it's like he's it very sporadically has his own books. I mean, this is the first time in probably in my adult life he's had his own book. So so
I mean, it could very well be. I just don't have any. I just don't have anything to make that. They could go a completely different direction. I mean, this is such an unpredictable point in time. So it would logically make sense for Aquaman to be there, but
yeah, I'm gonna place my bet that one of those is Aquaman. I mean, I don't know who else do you think this the second one might be? Maybe Cyborg.
It could be. Because in the modern Justice League,
yeah,
they've messed around and made him one of the founding members. After New 52, I don't mind, but I'm not a
Could be Shazam too, maybe.
Could be anybody. I mean, like I said, the logically, if you're going by traditional rules, and yeah, Aquaman would be it, but nothing about this.
Anthony suggests it might be Green Arrow. Yeah, I could definitely see Green Arrow.
That could be Green Arrow. I mean, there's a lot of Aquaman in order of legendary appearances and in order of historical precedent would be the next one. But depending on what interpretation we're using for our inspiration. So could be anybody.
Yeah. So I guess so that's wait and see. But yeah, loving what they're doing with Absolute DC so far. So and yeah, I mean, I wasn't thinking bring on Superman before. I definitely am now. And I was thinking it before.
I would love it absolutely Legion of Superheroes because you know what? Darkseid fighting, Darkseid has fought the Legion of Superheroes in the Quiet Darkness. She's a hero. She's a straight up hero. I don't think she's an anti-hero at all. I think she's a straight up hero. Her upbringings may make it seem like she's something else, but you even see, she has the opportunity to kill one of those lizards, dragons that are blowing fire in her face, and she doesn't. So she has the moral compass that's inherent.
She definitely has a reason to have a chip on her shoulder.
Yeah, she's raised in hell.
Yeah,
that's but even with that, you see that there's good. You see that she's a hero type of situation. I don't think any of these heroes are going to be. I don't think their affiliations will be switched. I think they'll all have their standard affiliations. I just think they get to where we. Get there before anyone else does. I mean,
again, this has got to lead into an Absolute Justice League.
Well, I think that's the point.
Yeah,
I think that's the point is to get to that in many ways that the way Zack Snyder and even the way Jeff Johns they used Darkseid, something with Darkseid as a catalyst to bring together the Justice League. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, when Zack did it, Personally, I wish he would have drifted closer to using Darkseid and BVS than I don't think Doomsday was necessary.
Well, he's got the Omega symbol. You see the Omega symbol before you even see Parademons, and I mean you don't see Darkseid until Justice League.
This all goes back to killing Superman and BVS. I didn't think was necessary. I think bringing Darkseid in, and I think the entire 5 arc should have been about the coming of Darkseid, and I thought everything else should have been pretty much flushed away.
I remember there's this before Man of Steel came out. There was a rumor, I remember even Campia addressing this. There was a rumor. I mean, obviously didn't turn out to be true. I mean, unless there is something on those whiteboards we still haven't seen yet, which is very.
And those probably have been.
Yeah. So there's because he has an updated version that we haven't seen, but. I remember there being this rumor of General Zod he was a Darkseid's right hand man or something. It was going to be revealed that he was in league with Darkseid somehow. Which again, that's not that's not the case in Man of Steel again, unless there's again something on the updated whiteboards.
Well,
Again.
Darkseid could have got him out of the Phantom Zone if he wanted to. He could have. I mean, he could have gotten out of the Phantom Zone.
Well, yeah, I mean, because they don't spend a lot of time in the Phantom Zone. They get sent there, and the Krypton blows up, and they're out 10 minutes later. So
yeah, I think they could have. They could have done it that way, but they didn't.
Yeah, so I don't know what. I mean, obviously they're kind of kicking the whole absolute DC off with the Justice League characters. Do you kind of wonder like who would you want, like outside of like the core Justice League members, who would you most want to see get the absolute treatment? I mean, I'd kind of be curious to see the Justice Society, like what their like absolute version would look like.
No, because now you're dealing with a period. You're dealing with a period of time. Are you changing that as well? I don't know. I mean, I would buy it. I don't know if Justice Society. I'm not a big fan of the Justice Society, simply because I think they've been misused, and I don't think anybody's capable of properly using them right anymore. They get used as something they are not, in my opinion. So I just say, you know what, put them to bed. Even in Black Adam and stuff like that. That's yeah.
Oh God, I loved Hawkman and Black Adam. He was one of my favorite of the JSA members. Like him and Dr. Fate, I really loved them.
Yeah, but the Lightning, the modern, the way they've modernized it, not a fan. As far as absolute goes, the 3 Kryptonians, I would like to see their situation, because I think you'll probably see that. So I didn't need that one.
You're talking about
Zod or
Zod or yeah, okay.
Absolute Plastics Man would be an absolute fucking joke, but then again, if you did that, you would have to. No, I don't want to see Solomon Grundy.
Yeah, it looks absolute fun.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Plastic Man would probably be darker. It wouldn't be a joke, actually. It'd actually be the exact opposite. That probably
yeah.
It'd probably be the first time I'm entertained by Plastic Man.
God, this. I mean, from the way this kicks off, I mean, the idea. I mean, Scott Snyder and who wrote Kelly Thompson. I mean, now Wonder Woman has never been. Out of the Trinity, she's the character who's never really been saddled with the no-kill rule, because she comes from a warrior culture and carries a sword, and carries an even bigger sword in this version. So it's never been really seen as much of a taboo for her to take lives. But I mean, any conception that that anyone has going into this, that these are characters who have an ethos of like I mean, they're not, as William said when talking about Absolute Batman. If anybody who hasn't read it, he's not going into his mission with the
not a murderer.
He's not going in with the express intent. I'm not an assassin. I'm not going to kill these guys, but I am going to do what it takes to put a stop to them. And if, up to and including severing limbs. And if they can't make it to the ER in time, oh well.
Yeah. The villain's already established who's going to bring this together. It's Darkseid. Darkseid is the reason this universe exists. He is going, once he reforms himself, he is going to be the villain on both the DC All-In part and the Absolute part. He is the purpose for the story.
Yeah. Who's
hello, Ray?
I think yeah. Is that who you want to see forth, or is that who you think is like one of those TBA characters? Let's see. What else we got? I've never been really enamored with Plastic Man myself. I don't think he doesn't have. Plastic Man is not the kind of character who has like a huge fan base. I mean, it's like he
had a cartoon for a while, and that's about it.
He is a cartoon basically.
Yeah, and his little kid.
So he's not a. I mean, I remember during the Hamada era, that's one of the the many movies that got announced that never got off the ground. Plastic.
Wasn't a fan of that.
He's not the character who typically has solo books either. He's usually he's a support character in an ensemble.
Well, he's had them. He's had his comics. They just don't last. No, absolute Robin. I don't think, especially in this universe, you ever need to see a Robin. And if you don't need to see a Robin, you sure as hell don't need to see a Nightwing.
I don't know. Yeah, this Batman, the way now he's established, he is, the Batman and absolute. He is younger. I think that may be a bit of a, there may be a bit of a theme going through this. They may be intentionally making these characters, biologically in their 20s. Obviously, Wonder Woman's kind of an exception, but
yeah, she's immortal.
But the Batman as we see him, he doesn't keep company. Much. He's got he's got one person.
Even Alfred, the way he does Alfred is
Alfred. Yeah, Alfred. He's Bruce is not a billionaire. Alfred is damn sure not a butler.
Here's your rifle. Here's your shotgun back, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, I can't wait to see how they meet up. Batman and Alfred meet up because they're not on their usual terms.
Absolute Mr. Terrific. The reason the character, see, it works with these standardized characters because they have a rich history and they have a historical history, so you know what's being changed. I don't think anybody's going to care about him, Mr. Terrific. I mean, I wouldn't if he shows up, that's fine, but I wouldn't do a book on him. I wouldn't. Yeah, Bruce's friends were Croc, but if you look at that, and this is what I think is going to happen with that. I think a lot of Gotham's villains were in that zoo.
Yeah.
I think it's going to affect a bunch of their villains differently than it affected Bruce, and I love that.
Yeah, because can we go into spoilers on Absolute Batman?
Oh yeah, it's been
out long enough. I think we should. Yeah, I mean, because the way it establishes or it alludes to the idea that Bruce they kind of in some ways almost pull a bit of Smallville with and I know one's gonna roll his eyes, but hear me out. They allude to the idea that a lot of the traditional Batman rogues gallery almost kind of originate from like kind of the same social class that he did, or that he might have like crossed paths with them, in their younger years, or had friendships with them, or things of that sort. So
he's got a record. He's been arrested.
Yes,
Bruce is in the penal system.
Yeah. And he's again he's not
you're getting timed out. Crazy shit.
Absolute crypto.
Fucking,
I
don't think you're going to see a Damian Wayne because I don't think we're going to get
and
now Absolute Raw is out. Cool. I could go for that.
Yeah, and as William said, I mean, again, we can go spoilers out. The villain they kind of leave you hanging on with at the end there is the Joker, but it's not the it's not what you think of when you think of the Joker. That I won't spoil if anybody hasn't read it yet.
Joker, that's some serious trouble.
Oh yeah,
if you read the background of that Joker or where his origins are, that's not just a menace or a nuisance. That's a killing machine.
That's like a Navy SEAL who's the Joker.
Yeah, that Joker is going to cause some problems. So I can't wait to see that. There's just different things in here. What's he say?
Yeah, it has a photo of Riddler. Again, the book alludes to some past kinship with a lot of the traditional Batman Rose Gallery.
Yeah, I saw that. The things that I've heard before, at least multiple times in my lifetime of collecting Batman. Roz is dead.
Well, yeah. I mean, 2 words: Lazarus Pit.
He literally has exactly. He literally has a fucking Lazarus Pit that he can bring himself back into, or have his henchmen be like, you know what? If something happens to me, you go drag my ass and throw me into this little pit here, and you can use it too. So I think I would.
Roz is dead.
And I would love to see what he would be, because I know what he is I know what drives him in our normal universe. Yeah. What drives him in this universe? And is it something like, because remember, he's an environmental terrorist for the most part. Yeah. I would like to see, I would like to see, where his motives would make. That's the thing. The biggest changes between these characters and our normal characters are the motivations and what causes them to become what they are. They still are what they are. Bruce Wayne is still a hero.
Well, he's also his tragedy that was the impetus is even that is fourth. You got fourth. It's like absolute doomsday.
Oh fuck no!
But what was it? You made a list. I thought there fourth. Oh yeah. The tragedy. It's like in this version, it's only Thomas Wayne who gets killed at the incident.
And his death. Oh my god, his death is heartbreaking. If you live in today's times, like I told you guys how it happens, and his last words to those kids. I just imagine. I just go back to a CNN headline where the kids are coming out,
like Sandy Hook and.
Yeah, and everything else happened, and where the teacher or the guardian or somebody has lost their life because their first instinct as teachers and parents were to protect children. And you think that people are like, nobody's going to do that dirty, hairy Superman shit in real life. People's natural instinct to protect children kicks in, and I know people who lay down their lives for kids, and you see it in the news every day when these things happen. So that one struck a modern chord with me because it is part of your society, and this was so well written.
Yeah, this is not Joe Chill in the alley.
Wonder Woman visually, aesthetically may look a little bit better. It's like A+++++, versus A+. This is written way better. But Wonder Woman, Absolute Wonder Woman is a much more beautiful. It's a beautiful book, and it's strong too.
I think also because Absolute Batman, I think when I read them, it did feel like Absolute Batman took me a little bit longer. So I think it's got a little bit more runway as far as like length to tell its story. So maybe that kind of contributes to that.
Yeah. And like I said, there's no wrong way to tell the story because no one's ever done this before. It's just like I said, you got me basically looking for my next hit for Absolute Wonder Woman because the way you left it kind of left it on a cliffhanger, which you know what, back in the day when I didn't own a store and I just had to wait for shit to come out every 30 days, I really hated that. X-Men would be left on a cliffhanger and I'm like, I gotta wait 30 days. And then when I wasn't going to a comic book store, you didn't know when when you're getting them off the rack at the Base Exchange or off of the 7-Eleven down the street from base housing, they don't always come out when they're supposed to.
Yeah, I remember that.
Sometimes they don't come out at all. You might get issue 7 of some shit.
Oh, and
issue 4 comes out because they just got whatever they got.
So many times, like I remember like picking up a comic like on the rack in the shop ed on base. Which that's the Army has
that's the mini one.
Yeah, the Army or anyway the military bases, they kind of have their own little sort of system of commerce. We have the main like the grocery store is called the commissary. The main kind of
the PX for on Army.
PX is our equivalent to the mall, basically.
Yep, and that's where you got your cheap. BX was a base exchange. Is the difference between Air Force and Army, but it was only semantics. But yeah, we would have these little things in the little racks, the little Hey Kids comics racks, right? And you know what?
And they were not up to date anywhere near as well as a comic book store would be.
Yeah, I mean,
you would see stuff on the rack. You would get like, you'd see like issue 4 or something on there where the story is already up to like issue 14. Yeah.
Whereas the cats at the comic book stores were getting it like that month, that day. But like I said, I stepped in my first comic book store, I think in 1987, 1988 was my first. I'd been buying comics for years, but the world didn't have a lot of comic book stores in the 80s. It wasn't a thing. Comic book stores didn't start to spread like wildfire until the 80s. And even then, you didn't get one on every corner type of situation until the 90s, which became a problem because a lot of those stores opened up to take advantage of what they thought was this big trend, and a lot of stores went down with that trend. But before then, that Hey Kids comics rack, that's where you got your shit. Mm-hmm. You spun that bad boy and you looked through every single one of them because they were all stacked. You didn't want that one in the front because those racks were bending them forward. And as I started to become a collector, I'm like, you know what, maybe I want the one that's in the back. And then there's like 5 different titles in one little stack because the guy loading them does not care. So you're digging through it, and every night you get to that last one, and that's the one you've been waiting for, boy. And it's like, and this was like, they would be cliffhanger. Like, so I would be waiting sometimes 2 months to get a 1-month cliffhanger done. That's why when they started doing the weeklies and the Spider-Man, like Kraven's Last Hunt was the last Spider-Man story that I bought off of the rack that way. After that, I started buying once I started getting into Amazing Spider-Man 298, 300, that's when I started going to Lone Warrior Comics in San Bernardino, and then the sequence was there for me. But Kraven's Last Hunt was cool because every week one was coming out. Because you had Amazing Spider-Man come out, Web of Spider-Man come out. You had 3 Spider-Man titles, so you only had a 1 gap in between. And this story was connected, so I was eating them up, and those came out in order. But yeah, man, when they do these cliffhangers in comic books, I'm like, dude, it's paper and it comes out every 30 days. You really going to do that to me? But this one, I was all right with it because there's so much. They couldn't tell you everything in those 30 pages.
Yeah.
And I am waiting for this to,
and each of these characters are the fact they're getting a 5-part, intro story is just, I mean, this is like, what is this going to carry? Like each individual character, this is going to carry for like a year to a year and a half, isn't it? Before they like really would start in on the Absolute Justice League line, right?
Yeah.
It would have to be that long for each character to wrap up their 5-part intro, right?
It's hard to say because I can't predict. I know there's going to be a Justice League because they mentioned it. They didn't establish it, but they mentioned you're doing it. You're looking at the Justice League. The way this is, every one of those characters is the Justice League. And whenever you're introducing those characters and there's a singular villain, that usually forms the Justice League. They're basically forming the Justice League just like they were doing it under the Snyder run and under the New 52 run. Because remember, the Justice League in normal Darkseid didn't exist when the Justice League was formed. They fought Starro and Brave and the Bold. So as Darkseid, from the creation of Darkseid on, Darkseid, even though he's actually a much younger character, granted, 51 years is not. I think he actually first appeared in Superman's friends Jimmy Olsen like 131. No one even thought about him then. Jack Kirby created him, put him in that comic book, and he has become a very powerful godlike enemy since then, to the point where he basically becomes the de facto way of bringing the Justice League together because of their villains. He is the most powerful. He is the most conniving.
Which is why the idea of like taking him out of the movie just made no sense at all.
Well, that's why those people are gone.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So this works, but like I said, now we're forming a brand new Darkseid who's basically destroyed himself. And then we still need to find out why he did that. I'm not clear on why he wanted to bond with the Spectre and why he did it. I didn't really grasp that completely. Maybe I have to read all in again, but I didn't really grasp why he was doing that. So there's still a lot to know right now before we get too deep into it. So
yes, but we are looking forward to definitely taking that deep dive because they are off to a hell of a good start with Absolute DC.
All right, moving on to another Terminator. 40 years since
I'll be right back for a second.
Since Sarah Connor and Linda Hamilton's famous sex scene that becomes. I'm so tired of the meme. I'm so tired of the meme. The meme is basically Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese doing it, and that moment where they've frozen it, and it's on every meme now. It's like, and the memes are so dumb. It's like when you're so and so does so, and I'm like, oh my god, poor Linda Hamilton. I apologize for the male species, but 40 years ago today, that means 40 years ago in 1984, 10-year-old me went to go see this movie with the old man at Crenshaw Plaza. Actually, no, this was when we were in Rialto. We were in Rialto by then. So we would have probably gone to downtown San Bernardino. I can't remember where. I remember seeing it with him, and I was blown away. The score, the way it opens, it is one of a handful of movies that are like, that you put up there for sure with the most revolutionary moments in movies ever done. It's a low budget, borderline indie movie that makes itself happen basically on James Cameron's vision. We look at James Cameron now, this, making $1 billion movies and, Titanic and Abyss and Terminator, Judgment Day, all that. The James Cameron of 1984 didn't have that kind of sway. He had to use what he had, and he was very demanding. I'm surprised this movie got finished, but it ends up being a legendary movie that is, in some cases has gone in directions I like, in some cases does. I don't care what anybody says. I love the first 3 Terminator movies. I love Terminator 2. I love Terminator Rise of the Machines. I absolutely abhor, hate, and despise Salvation and Genesis. Not because of any particular people that were in them. They all did good jobs in, doing what was asked of them. I thought the task and the mission of both of those movies was horrendous, and I don't like them. I love the Sarah Connor Chronicles. I think that's if Fox wouldn't have been Fox, we would have gotten to see where that series is going. They ruined that because that's what Fox does or did at the time. I would love to see that finished. I am a fan of Terminator Zero. We just did a watch party of that here. Yeah. I had a lot of fun with
awesome,
that.
Joe. Check it out if you haven't.
So, but like I said, when it comes to I think three. There's 3 blights on Terminators on record, and that's not enough to ruin the franchise. Genesis sucked. Salvation sucked, and Dark Fate had no chance. Those 2 previous movies I just mentioned set Dark Fate up for failure because we're the apathy for the franchise at that point. When you make 2 movies like that, people just stop caring about the franchise. So I was thinking, hey, maybe retire the Terminator brand for a while, but then I saw Terminator Zero. I'm like, okay, there's still something here.
Yeah.
There's still something here, and we just got to find the right road. But 40 years ago today,
which I can happily say I was not born yet.
Still no old gods. There is an old god in. If you're talking about Wonder Woman, there's one old god that makes itself Apollo. Absolute Sonic. I'm going to ban you. Dr. Manhattan. No, I don't think they do it. I think bringing in Dr. Manhattan to this absolute universe would be counterintuitive. The movie gave me nightmares. It was a slasher. Yeah, well, it's designed as a slasher.
Yeah, Cameron. He's talked about the no pun intended, the genesis of the whole thing was, he had a fever dream of a cyborg, or this, metal Skeletor, emerging from, this nuclear fire. And, the idea was that, it could be cut in half. He's done concept art of this, or it's cut in half, but it's still pursuing somebody with a kitchen knife. So, and it definitely, you watch the Terminator. The Terminator, the first one really is kind of an outlier for the franchise where it's gone since, because the first one really is the only one that kind of has the feel of a horror movie to it. And this, it obviously, and it's a similar thing Cameron did with Aliens, where it's, the second movie, it shifts more into an action kind of template. But Terminator, it's especially the build up for when he finally tracks down Sarah Connor, and when he and Kyle Reese mutually locate her. And it
was one of the most riveting scenes in science fiction ever. That scene
in the nightclub,
he's got that laser.
He's got the gun on her, and
the laser, and he pulls out that shotgun,
and Kyle Reese is trying to brush everybody aside.
And he gets a good shot off too. It is really hard. I don't know if this was just Hollywood. That shot he got off dead center of him while he's moving and getting through a crowd was. Yeah. I love that movie. In that point, I'm like, yeah. And then he just gets up and says, and then you just knew you were in for some shit. But this movie changed the game as far as that kind of blockbuster goes.
Because it was made for it's the only camera movie that was made for $1.50.
And you look at the Stan Winston, you look at the effects that they used. They were using a lot of stop motion, The models, that was the model that they used for the T-800 that comes through. And once his skin is all torn off. Now there is some cartoonish shit, like when he's got his fucking mosquitoes. When he's putting on his, he's got his face wounds and everything else, and you could see it's really bad looking.
Yeah. Well, for the time,
it's 1984.
You got to cut some slack on some of the not only for the time but also for the budget they had.
Yeah. How much was that fucking movie made for? Hold on.
It was made for $6 million, which again that is very, very. I mean, for a camera movie, that is very much not the norm.
Let's see
the Wikipedia for the first one. And that was actually, I think that was one of the more fun double feature watch parties I think we ever done, which we did the first and the second one. That was a lot of fun going through those, because I definitely grew up with Terminator and Terminator.
Doesn't
2.
Tell me. Oh no, that's just
that's the franchise. I got the for the first movie, the Wikipedia here. Let me pull it up. I'll go and pull it up.
All right.
Yeah. So the budget was $6.4 million, which even by today's standards, if you adjust for inflation, I mean that would be, I don't know, probably
that's like
$30 million today.
Yeah, that's Blumhouse money, and it made $78 million, which in 1984, that puts you on the map forever. That sets your career.
That got Cameron Aliens, so that was his next movie. Was Aliens after that, and he went from six. He got to like 2.5 times his budget, I think, for Aliens. And of course, he also got the chance to be a co-writer on Rambo 2, and of course, all that led him into The Abyss, which was The Abyss. You talk about movies that were hard to make or had a trouble production. I mean, that The Abyss was bitter for everybody involved.
It didn't do that well. It did 90 million,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
only
it's the only one he
budget.
did that didn't really like break out. I mean, it didn't bomb, but it didn't like
Nah.
light the world.
But it also got released in 1989. I don't know how anybody made money with the amount of things. You had Ghostbusters 2, you had Star Trek 5,
Batman.
You had Batman.
Yeah,
you had Indiana Jones,
Last Crusade,
which was
oh, don't be Last Crusade.
It's my least favorite of the three. Of the first three, it's my least favorite. I'd gotten softer on it over the years, but when I saw it in the movies, it was just I didn't like all that going on. There's just too much going on in that movie for me. There's too many characters in that movie for me. Over the years, I've come to appreciate Sean Connery's part in that. Their father and son relationship. So I don't dislike it as much as I did, but out of the first three that I saw, I love Temple of Doom.
Oh yeah, that was the first one I did see. I mean, that's I would describe it as we tangented from Terminator to Indiana Jones. We'll finish up on that real quick. It'd probably be fair to say it's like Temple of Doom is like my favorite, but Last Crusade is the one I consider the best. Maybe is the way to put it.
Wow. It kind of lost me at the actual chalice thing when the old guy comes out of the thing, and I'm like, "Are you fucking? This is."
Well, and also it's like actually I wrote a bit on that screen rant. I was talking about like it has the way the rules are set up with the Holy Grail. It has kind of the same problem for Hitler as the Ark of the Covenant did, which is like you find the Holy Grail. It's like you drink rum, and the knight tells you, "Oh, by the way, you have to stay in here forever if you want the immortality to stick." So, like Donovan, like he would have tried to like move his mansion down there. It's like he would have the pot of gold, the end, because obviously because the idea is like he's pursuing it. He's not thinking of eternal life in terms of like what it but anything other than materialistic, materialistic sense. But anyway, that's our Indiana Jones talk. Segueing out of Terminator, but going back to Terminator now.
Terminator, like I said, was a revolutionary movie. James Cameron was a revolutionary director at that time, and now in the society we live in, unlike The Matrix, Terminator, had they done it right and had they not made some awful films, would be relevant today. Terminator would, because we're not quite there yet as far as
it's kind of getting relevantized, if that's even a word, with the whole AI thing.
Brought back, AI, but we haven't quite crossed the threshold of impossibility possibility, because we don't have something looking like the T-800 walking around. Yeah. We don't have time travel that we know of walking around. So there are still fantastical things that put Terminator films in the realm of imagination that I cannot go with. And
listen, I mean, God forbid anybody does. Although we've got like some of these robots are prototypes. I mean, they're like Terminator,
they're dancing and shit. They're doing backflips.
Guys, did you? I mean, you got to ask these scientists at some point, guys. Did you not watch Terminator? Yeah.
We got people playing around with when they find shit in the ice up in the Arctic that's been frozen for thousands of years. I'm like, do I need to send you a link to John Carpenter's The Thing? Leave that shit in the ice, man. While I'm on the planet, don't go digging up ancient species. If it looks like a spaceship that it crashed, leave it there. Leave it there, because guys
don't do the whole like dinosaur DNA. Like we're gonna crossbreed it with frog DNA and turn it into a theme park. No, these are cautionary tales for a reason, guys.
Yeah, those things would wipe out. There wouldn't be enough. Once they started reproducing, there wouldn't be enough. There wouldn't be enough food. They would eat us out of existence. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, but
good question.
Crazy to think Terminator, which you have bigger. That is a good question. Spielberg, Cameron. That's.
I'm gonna say Spielberg.
That's a photo finish, though. Whichever one you pick, that's a photo finish.
Me, I think it's clear. When you look at what Cameron has done, it's been great, but it's been focused. You look at Spielberg, not only is notable for the things that he's directed or created, he's notable for the technology and the culture that comes from it. You don't have Industrial Light and Magic without him. A lot of the stuff that Cameron uses crosses over into that. He's literally created a way of making movies and the utensils for making the movies. You know what I mean? A lot of the advancements that we have in modern science fiction movie making today came from Lucasfilm. In fact, he held off on making other Star Wars movies because he didn't believe that the technology at the time did what he had in his head justice. I would say for me, it sounds close because of the stature of both men, but it's a NASCAR race car and a tricycle when you put them together because of the overall culture. You know, Star Wars is embedded on 4 generations now of people. He literally, you know, when you sold Lucas, I mean, Cameron is great. Don't get me wrong, but when you're talking about bigger impact, it's actually I'm talking about fucking George Lucas, him and Steven Spielberg. I'm thinking Lucas, but when you're looking at Spielberg, both of them from 1975 to today, they basically rode shotgun and created everything. Raiders of the Lost Ark was Spielberg and Lucas. He got notes. The two greatest directors of their era gave each other notes. I'm gonna say Spielberg because of what him and Lucas did. Industrial Light and Magic was all theirs. I'm gonna say Spielberg. He literally created a culture of films. Like I said, I often overlap. Sorry if I overlap Lucas and him. I when I think of them, it's synonymous. But that's not to knock Cameron, though. Cameron is like I said. Look at three of the top grossing movies ever made are Cameron. Both Avatar movies and Titanic. And if they quit releasing Endgame, he might keep one of those spots. You know, so. All right. We're not doing a Kazan watch party, not for free at least. That's triple digits. That's 100 if we're doing that. If I got to suffer, I'm gonna get paid for that. But yeah, I would say Spielberg. But in all fairness, Spielberg and it's not just Spielberg though. I'd have to consider Spielberg and Lucas because I consider them. If you look at the things that they did for each other, they worked hand in hand in creating what they did. So it's yeah. Yeah, he's a great center, as all-time great center. He's a horrible actor. I don't want to see that.
It's your Laker Shack. Is this all about all the talk about Kazam in there?
Yeah. Spielberg created the blockbuster. That's it. Yeah, that he created that term. That term comes from Jaws.
And it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to make that. I mean, the sauce. I mean, anybody. If you're not familiar with the production of Jaws, I mean, look up how the sausage was made on that. It was that did not come easy by any stretch of the imagination.
Terminator. Avatar made more money. Well, Terminator had a more cultural impact on us.
Well, that's well. Also, it's like you talk about Avatar, which again, I saw the first one. I went back. I had seen it a few years, so I saw it. In IMAX when it did the theater re-release for it. That it was the lead up to The Way of Water coming out, and I remember thinking, like, God, I forgot just how breathtaking that movie is. But so it's like. Avatar, it's like I am totally on board with what Cameron's doing with Avatar. Really enjoy Way of the Water too. But it's a case of and this not just his work, but talk about they both did cinematically, both franchises. I mean, Avatar is a case of something it's built on the shoulders of Terminator. In the context of his career, in the context of the advance of visual effects and the advance of Cameron's impact on sci-fi. So yeah. You don't get Avatar without Cameron, landing the impact that he did with Terminator.
While I recognize the impact of Avatar, I have as much use for it as I do these mosquitoes that are biting me right now. There's just zero. It's to me, it's a love story type of situation, and then an environmental story like that. Big giant blue people. I went to go see the first one. I saw the second one on streaming, but it's like just because it's James Cameron and he deserves that respect, but I don't like those movies. The theme of those movies turns me off. I'm sorry.
I was thinking about that, by the way, or not quite like that, but it was like especially because tonight when I was out, they played the trailer for Gladiator 2. And I was thinking about, we talked about Ridley Scott, and obviously that parallels everything we talk about with like fandom and like the context of the everything with Zack Snyder's career. But we were running down, as kind of a, illustrating our point about everything with the discourse within the fandom and of Zack Snyder and what he does, whether it's DC related or not. And we were kind of running down that night, Cameron or Ridley Scott's filmography, and you've said like he's your all-time favorite filmmaker, right? He's your all-time favorite director, right?
Yeah, him and Michael Mann are like tied with each other right now.
Well, so we were like reading down, we were reading Ridley Scott's filmography that night, and it's interesting. I was thinking about that. So the idea of we were talking about, it's like if you don't like X, Y, or Z from this filmmaker, or if you don't like them within this genre, or if you think they excel the most as a storyteller within this genre or this set of parameters, that's none of that suggests that you're not like a true fan of them, or you're not a pure fan of them, or what have you. And you were, listing off everything, you listing off Ridley Scott's filmography, and again, this is why I bring up, like, you say he's your favorite director, but we were listing it all off. It's like, it's also, I think, fair to say, it's like you were saying, okay, I like this, I didn't like this, I like this, I didn't like this. So it's like he's your favorite director, but you also probably would describe him as hit or miss.
Yeah, but when he hits, he hits.
Yeah, and that point is because when he hits, it's like his hits are home runs to the extent where it's like the stuff he's made that you don't like does not override that.
Yeah, I mean, House of Gucci is not going to take away Blade Runner. Thelma and Louise doesn't take away Legend. I'm not going to go see those movies again, but he's made so many movies that are fine. And like I said, James Cameron, I only went to Titanic to see the ship go down. I didn't care about that movie. And then a love story about the sinking ship. I mean, come on, dude, what are you doing?
Well, have you seen? Are you familiar with Film Theorists on YouTube?
I am, but I don't know. I have never watched the video.
Well, because they did a video breaking down this fan theory that Jack was a time traveler, and going back.
Stop.
And one of the things they use to illustrate the point is that you look that it is very much an outlier in Cameron's filmography, because you look at his body of work, it's either sci-fi or action. Titanic.
I want you to draw me, Jack, like one of your French women.
Second.
I want you to draw me, Jack, like one of your friends.
Well, really, it is the outlet, because I mean his filmography, it's sci-fi, action, and a lot of times a blend of the two. So, Titanic is very much the kind of the odd man out on that. So
I hated sitting through that movie. I knew that it was gonna win a bunch of awards, and the actual the effects of the ship going down is what I showed up for, because I'm like, we've never seen this before. Obviously, we've heard about the Titanic, so that I didn't care about the romance. I'm like, I wish I could have I just cut that out of the movie. I wish I had a remote in 1997 where I could have just said, "Oh, you guys are talking about your love, your interest. I don't care. You just met her on it. This is sleazy. You just met each other and you're banging already. You're already ready to run off and be married, spend the rest of your lives with each other. He's a bum. He's a bum on a ship. You're ready to go and say, let's go have."
Oh yeah, but I mean, she's like, well, it's like we're living a lie too, because it's like we're broke and we're, she says to her mother, it's like we're broke and we're just, I'm hitching it up with this creep Billy Zane place just for his money. So it's like, it's
let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, and listen, all that conversation while the ship is going down. I love you. We have to get off the ship, or we're gonna. I want to spend the rest of my. Get 1,100 people are about to eat it. 1,100 people are about to bite the dust, and you're gonna give me romance? If you're going to give me a catastrophic disaster movie, give me the catastrophe. I don't want when they make a movie about the Twin Towers or a flight, whatever, going down, and all of a sudden there's a romance on there.
Well, that didn't have a romance, so there you go.
But if somebody will do it, I mean, it ain't gonna be the last time that they make the movies of those. I'm like, dude, Just get to the shots where the ship breaks in half, because when that ship breaks in half
It's just
and it
enough for
sends, yeah, keep that up there for a second.
Mm.
When he did all the studying he did for that paid off, when that ship breaks and brings it down, and that one scene where the back of the ship is pointed straight up, that's what got me to that movie. That is what got me to that movie. I have all the respect. I love Kate Winslet as an actress. Leonardo DiCaprio is up there. I didn't need them in that movie. I did that song. That I like Celine Dion. I think she's got great range. She makes music that, every now and then I like to listen to. I actually kind of was fond to that song when it first came out. Every second of every day, there was a station here in Vegas that thought it was
station
cute,
all over the world
that thought it was cute to play a solid half hour of it. No other songs. People would play. Well, people were requesting. I don't care. Stop it. I call in all the time with my requests. This is back when you called in. My request. You guys hang up on me. Hey, can we play this? No, that's not the kind of music we play. What do you mean it's not the kind of music you play? Sorry, dude. Click. To play this crap. They played it on a metal station one time, and it's a joke. I'm like, it's not funny. That song was everywhere. And I'm like, this movie, I'm going to see it. And like I said, I told you I saw it. I saw it with a bunch of teen girls in there, crying their eyes out. And I'm like, I'm trying to enjoy a catastrophic sink shipping. Can you stop crying? What are you crying for? You should hate her. She could have got up on that door. There's plenty of room for him. Plenty of room for him on that. And guess what? If you don't think that you can get two people on there, why don't you swim your ass over till you can see the boats, dude? Hey, Rose, stay here.
Realistically though, they're all dead in like 10 minutes because they're all
that water,
in wet freezing water. So
some of them survived though out of that. Some of them got fished out of it.
Like 7 of them made it.
There were survivors in the Titanic. It just wouldn't have been those two goofballs. I'm sorry. When you have to start filming the movie this way because the ship's about to go down and you guys are still running fiddle farting through there, I'm like, romance. I'm like, come on, dude. Come on. That movie, but like I said, the trailer, when I saw that ship go like this and that when they're all there and it's going down and he has that excellent shot of it, that got me to the movie.
I don't think I actually saw the trailer.
Oh, dude, the trailer was excellent.
Because also the internet wasn't what it is, back then. So
we had QuickTime. You had to wait 2 hours.
Well, and if you didn't have that, you were if you either saw it in the theater before another movie, yeah.
When they played the commercials, that's when they started doing commercial trailers.
Well, because it wasn't really on my radar. It's like because my sister was definitely.
You were like what 10?
I was 11 years old when it first came out, and we I saw it. This tells you, how much of a phenomenon it was back then, and the fact that this is you just don't see this kind of phenomenon repeated today. Titanic. If memory serves, I think we saw it. My family, we saw it probably like in early April of '98 in a packed theater. This thing was still number one for like 12 weeks straight.
That's back when you kept them in there. That trailer. Do you know what that trailer didn't have? Romance. You know what that trailer didn't lead me to believe? That I was going to see a love story. Don't care about your love story. All right? I don't care about your human interest. I don't care about your thought-provoking bullshit. Just give me the ship being crushed under the waves, that historical moment that I paid to see. That's it. I ended up winning a bunch of awards for that, and I'm like, you guys wouldn't give him awards for anything else, but you sold out and went romance, and you gave him awards for that. Okay, fine. That's fine. At least the director of Terminator got an Academy Award. Now, the director of Blade Runner needs to get one.
Yeah, again, might finally pull it off now with Gladiator 2.
Yeah, no romance, man.
Okay, even Fun's picking on me for Gone to Path now. I'm telling you guys, when we do that watch party on here these days, I'll be accepting your apologies. You will see this amazing futuristic martial arts showdown in post-apocalyptic Earth. You'll say, Brad, You enlightened us to this greatness, for we all doubted you. We will defer to you forevermore.
Sure.
That's what they will.
This one's easy. This one's easy.
Oh yeah. Well,
Batman.
because what, say again?
Batman.
Really? I
Yeah.
would have said Superman.
Nah. The thing about Superman is after it was released, the only superhero movies of that magnitude were its own movies, and they got decreasingly bad. After Superman 2, they weren't good and they weren't drawing. When you look at what Batman did, Batman was the first superhero movie, I think, to make 200 million. One of the first movies of its time to make 200 million.
And by the way, that's total. That's not domestic, because nothing cleared 200 million. Back in those days, or inflation adjusted, definitely would be. But let me look that up. Actually, let me see what it did. Domestic.
A lot of what was the stagecraft and stuff that was used in Superman movies, the earlier ones, the good ones, was dated. What was introduced in Batman would be used in superhero movies leading all the way up to today. At the time, and also it's not a fair comparison because in 1978.
Okay, I was wrong. No, it did 251 stateside.
Yeah, what was his overall total?
It overall it made 411.
That's massive.
That'd be close to $1 billion today, if not hitting $1 billion today.
That would be over. That's massive. Superman just didn't do that for the genre. It just didn't do it. A lot of it's not fair though, because we're talking about the stagecraft that was available for them. I'm sitting watching Superman 2 sing strings and shit, and certainly so, but that's what they had. You're talking about 11 years later. And also another reason why it's hard to comparison, where comic books were in our society in the 70s versus where they were in the 80s. The exposure that they had. Once again, Superman, pre-comic book stores, pre-saturation, Batman, right at the renaissance of Batman. So I think that the Batman 89 had more of an impact on the genre than Superman, but it's also an unfair comparison because of the things that happened outside of their control and outside of the actual subject that helped Batman. So that's my opinion. What do you think? Clearly you thought Superman from my answer.
Second?
Clearly you thought Superman, but
I thought Superman because that's the reason I say that is because it's just it's so much the standard, not just for the character but also for just CVMs. I mean, especially when it comes to like the discourse around DC movies, we just so often, to the detriment, I would argue, of DC movies and CVMs as a whole. So much of the discourse is just all about like we want to see this harken back to the movie that made us believe a man can fly. There's such a faction of the audience and a lot of entertainment journalism too, where it's
I understand,
constantly just white knuckling on the Christopher Reeve's portrayal of him in the first Superman movie.
A lot of that is a part of fandom that don't make any difference though. Where it actually matters, and because you're looking at most people will give the Red S a chance regardless to what the era is. The only time you didn't is when you made a movie like in Superman Returns that was behind its own time. Superman and the original movies are dated to begin with. They don't hold.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's I wrote a piece on this on Screen Rant, talking about a bit about James Gunn's thing on this is like the early this is before he was even cast for Gunn, but it was like talking about like Gunn, like what he had mentioned, the original Superman is one of his influences, and one of the points I made in that piece was and even like on streams I also made this point, is like it's so paradoxical. It's not to say that Christopher Reeve didn't make an iconic performance of Superman, but it's paradoxical how much his Superman movies are held as the gold standard of Superman movies when literally his franchise's batting average is 50-50.
So I'm gonna go with Batman.
So, and again, it's like I'm sorry to continue my rant on that. Was and you talk like the second half of his franchise, which really cratered. I mean, just go back and look at I would argue Superman 3 is the worst by far.
Dude, you could catch me on a moment and it'd be a tie. I think
But
those the
Quest
last.
for Peace, yeah, obviously Quest for
Well,
Peace, I do give a bit more of a pass to just because it does have good concepts in it. I think it's the basis for it is and the fact that it was made during the Cold War. I mean, Christopher Reeve, that's the only reason he agreed to come back because he wanted to write the story, and his concept for it was, okay, we got the Cold War going on, how would Superman tackle this? And I will even say Nuclear Man in theory could be a great villain. They have put him in the comics since.
It doesn't matter. He's a coloring book villain. Is basically what it is.
But there is no redeeming quality of Superman 3 at all, as far as I'm concerned. So and that's why that leads to my larger point of like, yeah, it's not to say that his performance is not iconic or that it did not help kickstart comic movies being taken seriously or having a grand scale, or that they could aspire to be, to have a legacy beyond just being regarded as children's fiction. But again, look back on the Chris. Well, hey, even the good ones are dated. And Superman 2,
Superman 2 is one of the greatest sequels ever made.
Oh hell yeah!
But it just doesn't hold up for me today for what I need for Superman.
And it's like, and of course, obviously, there's always going to be much William Chagrin. There's always going to be debate around which version of Superman 2 people gravitate towards. I mean, but then again, look at
the Donner cut. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it right on the air. I have zero use for any Donner cuts.
Well, have you seen it?
Yeah.
See, okay, so I just making sure you're like, yeah, at least have
because it adds nothing to the movie that wasn't there. No.
Well, also it's a little bit different from the Snyder cut, and because Zach finished all principal, so he did a little bit of initial filming, but he had like all the footage of the A to B, point A to point B story.
The right decisions were made in Superman 2.
Donner did not. He didn't get to finish principal photography because, to give you a little production history, everybody may not know, they conceived 1 and 2 initially as kind of a 2-part story, and they were filmed simultaneously, but again, trouble production, especially for the scope they were going for at the time. So I think they finished like 3/4 of Donner's versus Superman 2. Then they decided to just focus their attention on 1. So 2 was kind of left by the wayside when they finished 1. Then 1, the first Superman became a huge hit, and that we said, okay, we're gonna follow us up Superman 2 now, but this Donner and the Salkinds, they were just could not be in the same room together, so that led him to bring Richard Lester, and he used up some of Donner's footage, but you get to reshot a lot of it, and that's also why when they finally did do Donner's cut of Superman 2, that's why it ends again with him spinning the Earth backwards, because that was not going to be the ending originally for the first Superman. What was going to happen, as Donner initially conceived it, was it was going to be a cliffhanger. Superman would throw the missile out to space, would shatter the Phantom Zone. Pretty much how the Donner cut begins was going to be how Superman 1 was going to end under Donner's conception, and they kind of decided, okay, we're way over budget here. We may not even make our money back, so let's at least try to let's not leave it on a cliffhanger on on the possibility this might bomb. Which again, that was the idea of a Superman movie back then was a far it was a far riskier proposition than would be today, but. So then when they did the Donner in 2006, it retained the original ending that Superman 2 was always intended to have. But that's why it kind of comes off as a little bit repetitive, because they kept the ending, but they still had that ending in the part 1. So yeah, that's
long story short, guys. In my opinion, the studio was right. The studio made the right decisions. If you get a chance to see the Donner cut, the studio was right. Most of the times, the studio is right. We hear about the noisy, messy ones where they are not, but films are made all the time. Thousands of films are made. Most of the times, the studio is right. Even in my favorite director's case, Ridley Scott's director's cuts have never changed my life. 9 times out of 10, including with Blade Runner, his cut was the inferior cut. The studio, Allen Lab Productions, made the right decision. The poster kid for that is Superman. If you ever want to see why you have bosses, why you have executives, why you have people who speak on the behalf of investors who make the money, lay down the money for this thing, the Donner saga when it comes to Superman, the studio was right. So it might not always be the case, but in most cases, because in most cases, you're never going to hear about it. They make the decision, changes are made.
Well, and also the Donner cut, again, it was because it was much more underground in terms of like the pursuit for it, compared to the Snyder
And I
cut.
never understood the pursuit for it. Maybe
Well,
you can explain I never understood it.
it was also, I mean, it wasn't as kind of overshadowed by the behind the scenes injustices and abuse stories and just the all around ugliness of it. It was more of a, I mean, it was a studio and a director butting heads, but it was more of a it was driven more by the desire of, it's like, it wasn't even like the idea of like, we just don't, it wasn't driven by the idea of like, we don't like the Superman 2 we got. It was more of like, we'd like to see what he had cooking for that, or what he would, his version as he envisioned it, what that could have been. And again, it's that they had to supplement that because he didn't get to finish principal photography. So he did at, there is, if you watch the Donner cut, there is Lester footage in that, and there is like the scene where Lois Lane tests out her second time where she tests out her theory that Clark is Superman, where she actually manages to get him to come clean. That wasn't a filmed scene. That was actually their Christopher Reeve's test, or his screen test with Margot Kidder. So and that's and that definitely shows as far as the kind of how it doesn't like really fully match up with the footage we see. So the Donner cut is it is much more of a case of it. The Snyder cut is a fully polished movie. The Donner cut is a it's much it's I wouldn't, it's not a work print, but it's closer to being that because of how they had to supplement.
By the way, work prints, the audience has no business seeing those. That's a work. It's literally what it is. When your movie is at that state, the movie that you got in the theaters is more than likely the one that should have been there. And I think the whole Donner cut and then all these cuts, and then because there's one legitimate one that for circumstances that were completely different than all these other cuts, was validated with Zack Snyder's. That's one of the other 5. That's the 5%. The Zack Snyder's Justice League is the poster kid for the 5%. Donner's situation is the poster kid for the 95%. That did not need to see the light of day. It did change nothing. It changed nothing as far as the flow and narrative. And all these things really do is create these foil hat crusades.
Well, I mean, now to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, it did, as far as like the fan push for the Snyder cut. I think the Donner. Now, this is not something you could have thought of at the time when the Donner cut was released, but it did actually put a little bit of wind in the sails of the Snyder cut campaign, in the sense that it allowed it gave the fans the ability to cite precedent. The fans were able to point to precedent.
That's not precedent. That's a horrible precedent. One of them was the proper decision was made, and the other one is the proper decision was not made. There's no precedent there. There's no precedent there.
I'm talking about precedent. I'm talking about precedent in the sense of like releasing an alternate cut.
Yeah, but if you're a studio and you bring that to me as your precedent, you've just killed your argument. So I wouldn't. Yeah. So one was poor decision making. We know that. We're all here because of that, ironically. But the other one is not. And I think we got to be careful when it comes to these cuts. Most of them, the right decision was made. And we just brought up 2 primary examples of poor decision making. Amongst others, we could do an entire Bible on how those guys fucked up.
Yeah, we could.
And then another one that was the right decision. And I don't need to see the Schumacher cut. Rest in peace. I don't need to see it. I saw the movie that I wanted to see. That movie is great. It's one of my favorite Batman movies. I don't need to put on a foil hat to go chasing down some other cut that I have gone just fine with for 29 fucking years.
I'm amazed we haven't done a watch party of that. And by the way, hi Aaron. I'm sorry I was not able to be for the Evil Dead watch party, being I was helping out with the trunk or treat at the dojo. And I thought that was going to work out perfectly because William had indicated he was not going to be able to make it for watch party today either. So
I need to bring that comment back.
I thought at the time it's like, oh, okay, great. It's like I'm not going to have to tell William I'm going to have to sit that one out because there won't be one for me to sit out.
Fell in together.
Yeah.
Real quick, because I've had this comment up there. Is an Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind thought-provoking human interest? Yes. But here's why it's in a different class than Let's Go Fuck on the Sinking Boat.
Oh, God.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, that is the movie. That is as advertised. The thought that is being provoked in that movie is about loss and memory and things like that. That is the movie set on a sci-fi backdrop because of the thing that they're using doesn't exist. The erasing your memories. That is the movie. Titanic's about a sinking ship. I don't care. I don't care about your romance. I don't care about your human interest. You know why? It's about a ship. I'm interested in the ship. I don't care if you guys are drawing each other, shagging, chasing a jewel that'll lead through down the ocean. I'd have been like, you threw it where? Go get it. But anyway, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, that is the movie. That is the provocation, and the human interest is the movie, but it is set on a backdrop. So when I go to see that movie, if I paid to see that, then that's what I'm getting. So it's a different thing, different, expectations are everything sometimes.
Aaron says I
you have
enjoy
a
the
$5 super chat here.
Okay. I'll go back to Aaron's in a second here. Brad binge watch Young Justice. You will love DC. Okay. I've never watched it yet, but that's pretty
Thank
good.
you for the $5.
Aaron says I enjoy the Schumacher Batman. Are you talking about both?
I enjoyed Batman Forever. Batman and Robin was horrendous. It was, and it gets worse every time I look at it. And I'm like, the same guy who gave me Batman Forever gave me Batman and Robin. I have to sit and think about that. Because Batman and Robin is one of my favorite Batman movies ever.
No, Batman Forever, you mean?
Batman Forever, yeah. Because Batman and Robin was horrible.
Well, of course.
Even though they're using a 40-year-old Robin because they couldn't use a kid at the time. Part of that obviously was born out of Warner Brothers. Again, felt the franchise was too dark, wanted to take it in a lighter direction. It seems they can't seem to stop breaking that habit. Well, the problem with Batman 2 didn't help that case. Batman 2 went in the direction that it didn't need to go. That movie wasn't what was needed. If you kept consistent with what he did in '89, they would have been fine. But they didn't. They took this turn for the jury is what the word, and it just didn't work. Batman Returns is probably down there with one of my least favorite superhero movies, period. Batman Returns was such a disappointment. Coming off 3 years later after Batman, the trajectory of Batman is not what I was sitting in when I saw Batman Returns. I thought that was a letdown, and I wasn't alone. That really kind of pissed on the franchise for me. That kind of put a wet blanket on the franchise. So they made the right decision because guess what? Batman Forever comes out, and it was consistent with, a lot of, stuff. Yeah, there was a little bit more color to it, but if you look at Tim Burton's normal escalation, that's where I thought where Schumacher took Batman Forever is where I thought Burton would have taken it. That's what I was expecting from Burton. That Batman 2, and like I said, that was literally like, damn, this isn't fun. I want this movie to be over with when it comes to Batman Forever, because like I said, Batman '89 was great. And then, 1992 rolls around, and then I get this movie, and I think a lot of performances were wasted. I did not like the look of the Penguin. I thought Catwoman was iconic, but I thought she was misused, and I thought the movie was boring. I mean, I can't remember any action-packed things in Batman Returns that said, oh, wow, now here we go. No, it's just – so, yeah, they corrected that course with Batman Forever, and that's what made Batman Forever one of the better movies of its genre. I mean, Jim Carrey, at the height of his senses there. Tommy Lee Jones, fresh off an Academy Award. The Batmobile looked cool. I didn't think it could look cooler than it did in '89.
Yes, they do have great soundtracks.
And Batman Forever. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, and say what you will about Batman and Robin, but that soundtrack does. That is,
Yeah.
I discovered a lot of I discovered Smashing Pumpkins through the Batman and Robin soundtrack.
Now here's the thing, though. Same thing with Burton from '89 to Batman Returns. Schumacher did a complete 180 from what made his movie work, because Batman and Robin sucked. And the same guy who made '89 Batman made '92 Batman, and the same guy who made Batman. So it's like they went away from what made their initial movies work, and that's what bothered me about those two movies. All right, we're still bringing Blade up in the chat. I don't know why. Braden, what's going on? When am I going to see what? Oh yeah, this is not even an opinion. This is fact. This is fact. Wesley Snipes was the guy. He sold to black folks. He sold to white folks. He sold to everybody. Wesley Snipes in that era was the man. You put him in your movies, you had a good chance of making good money. He was that guy. And Blade doesn't get made without Wesley Snipes being that guy. There's only a handful of other black folks at the time who could have even done that. Denzel wasn't going to do it, and Will Smith wasn't doing it.
He could do it, but he wasn't going to do it with Blade. It's like
that's what I mean. He wasn't doing it with that character. And Wesley Snipes is why that movie got made. And like I said, late '90s Wesley Snipes, that was box office generating. It's like Rumpelstiltskin spinning a straw in the gold. That was Wesley Snipes at that time. So I do agree with you. Meteor Man, I should ban you for even bringing that up.
I'm actually listening to it right now. It was Aaron planted the soundtrack in my house.
I hated that. It sounds like an Irish Spring commercial. I hated that song.
Well, he's from Ireland. So.
Superman Fantastic Four released in the same month. Fantastic Four. Right now at this moment, without a doubt, Fantastic Four. I've been excited for Fantastic Four since I knew it was happening. So that's in all fairness, Superman hasn't, in DC in general, has never reached that level for me in the last 5 or 6 years. But my personal preference for seeing the first family of comic books on screen finally, and seeing Galactus, a proper Galactus, and like I said, I wish I could have filmed all that when I was at Comic-Con, and when I saw Galactus' face for the first time, and just that little 0.5 seconds that we got, I cannot wait to see a full blown Galactus on screen. So yeah, it to me, there's no I don't have any real expectations for Superman. I mean, it's going to do what it's going to do.
Again, that's getting into the baggage of why we're getting that specific Superman. So,
which, like I said, unfortunately, it's just going to fade amongst the general populace. So, I mean, hopefully he steers us in a direction. Like I said, there's a good possibility that he is your best option for ever getting any of this stuff. That's okay, now you're just messing with me. You just didn't put the happy face. Blade saved the comic book movies after the disaster of Batman and Robin. Put some damn respect on Blade. No, nobody knew who the fuck it was.
We have got to do a Blade watch party.
Save something if you don't even know what it is. There was no such thing as a comic book movie like that. They didn't know who Blade was. Not know who Blade was. I know you're fucking with me, but and you can be wrong along with him.
Droga says,
that to me, that up to another level.
Yeah. Here's because I was thinking a bit more about that too, and it's like, since this is the only we are dealing with multiverse stuff, I kind of expect that's like, he's playing RDJ is playing Doctor Doom, obviously, but I kind of expect that they're gonna do at least one scene where it's like they like hit him and Tony Stark are on screen together. I would expect they're going to do some kind of like, even if it's not like a full Tony Stark comeback, like some kind of like moment.
It'll be at the end of Secret Wars.
Yeah, something along those lines.
All right, guys. I think that's it.
Covered
all the thumbnails.
On a giant chair in live action. Yeah.
Okay. I think that covered all the thumbnails. By the way, this is one of my I really like this thumbnail.
Yeah, that was pretty well done.
It's like one of my better thumbnails. So I wanted to make sure. Yeah, there we go. Let's look at this thumbnail. I hate to be self indulgent and conceited, but I really do like this thumbnail. Yeah, the thumbnail's good. I love that cover. I'm gonna get that cover. Oh no, we didn't cover everything. Venom.
Oh, right.
Those will be quick.
Yeah, because we already kind of talked about what we thought of it too.
Um, by the way, it's made 90 worldwide. Oh no, it's made 100. Yeah, 94 worldwide under a budget of 120. I think this movie is going to make its money somewhere, but
Yeah.
The critics gave it its 37%, and then the audience gave it like 77%. So equally showing me just how useless both of those are. Listen, guys. I wonder when we're going to get back to going to the movies, be entertained, and then just going to movies is is not the throwing of a gauntlet. It's throwing down. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be this big warlike experience. I mean, it seems like when I read these comments and I read these things, it's like, did you even go to the movies to be entertained? Did you go to the movie? Do you go to every movie looking for Scorsese or Francis Ford Coppola or Denis Villeneuve? There's no way. I don't even want that. Those movies hurt my head, and I love those movies. Sometimes I just want to see shit blow up. All right. Sometimes I just want to see people get the shit beat out of them. Sometimes I want to see the hot chick. If I'm a guy, and for girls, you just want to see the guy, the chiseled dude without his shirt. Sometimes that's what you want to see. Those may not be the highest merited things that are in a movie, but sometimes you just want to see shit blow up. You want to see a insane. That's why the Fast and the Furious movies. There's no story there. The story is very limited. But you did not go. You did not pay for those movies to see them sit at the side of a bridge and talk about the quantum physics or anything like that. You showed up.
You showed up to watch people get launched into space in a Pontiac. Yeah.
People do crazy shit with cars that damn well can't be done. Safes being dragged at a high speed. You know how many dead people are on that chase?
And that's one of the more realistic things they've done in recent.
Yeah, the missile, the torpedo that chased down the ship. Yeah, but that's what I mean. You're going for that just to untighten your brain. You know what? Not everything has to be a wound up fucking classic. And I think that's what's happening with some of these movies is they're letting other movies set the standard for what's a good movie. Maybe it's just a moment. Maybe it's just a time. Maybe I need to see the hot chick. Maybe she's the one blowing shit up. Maybe she's the one beating somebody's ass. Maybe it's the Atomic Blonde movie. The story was good in that, but I don't remember that.
Grace.
I remember Charlize Theron putting a guy's head through a fucking sink. I remember the guy putting her head through that very same thing. That's what I can't. You know what? That's all. Sometimes that's it. Sometimes sometimes you need a story. So when I go into Dune Part 2 or when I go into Gladiator 2, I'm looking for a story.
Well,
when I'm going into Terrifier 3, I'm not looking for a story.
And sometimes, in the case of something like Gladiator 2, sometimes you get both.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be a prerequisite. Not every movie needs to be held by this standard here. If I see Dune 2, you think I'm going to shit on every other movie that's not as good? There's a good chance that most movies are not going to be as good as those movies. But they're still going to be fun. But, yeah,
I'd rather see Fast and Furious being straight. Well, you might get that. I mean, because it's like they're going to put aliens. They're going to put like interdimensional travel. They're going to do something like more like, I mean, that is this franchise's like calling card at this point. It's like, how can we make it more just outlandish with each one, absurd? I mean, how many ways can we invite our audience to laugh at the ridiculousness of this with each one? That is their calling card. It's like if you brought Autobots into it, you know what? There you go.
Listen, I always still tell you if I think your movie is stupid. If you like a movie and I won't say you're stupid, but most of the times I say it's not for me. But here's the thing: it doesn't matter what I say. It's your money. It's your time. That movie. Listen, you guys have listened to some of the fucking dumbest movies I've ever heard mentioned from a human. All right, you guys love some of the shittiest movies I've ever heard of, right? But it doesn't matter what I think about them. How did you feel when you went to go see Dudes in My Car? How did you feel when you went to a movie that I could barely hold the food in my stomach in Ace Ventura 1 or 2? How did you feel about that movie? I think it's trash, but that's what I did with my opinion in my moment. If Ace Ventura is a memory-making movie for you, I'm sorry, but that is a you thing. It is not. You shouldn't put any stock into what I say about a movie. If you ask me what I think about a movie, obviously I'm going to tell you movies like The Cable Guy, Ace Ventura are tragic garbage because I think they held Jim Carrey back from being an actual actor. That's my opinion. And I don't even care if I'm in the majority or the majority about that. That's my opinion. But you may think that a guy's head coming out of a fucking rhinoceros's ass is the greatest thing ever. And that's okay. That is okay. All right. You may think some of the dumbest jokes that I've ever seen uttered on a movie are okay. That is okay for you to think that. It's okay for me to think they're trash. All right.
I just love that's your shorthand for Ace Ventura. It's like a dude coming out of a rhinoceros's ass.
It's really, that's the hype. I mean,
and that's probably one of the funnier scenes of both movies for me. Is the rhino scene. yeah. I mean, guys, I've made no secret on the show. It's like I am far more willing to ride along for Jim Carrey's farcical comedies like Dumb and Dumber and the Ace Ventura movies.
Ride along. Yeah. I would rather twist my intestines into the transmission than ride along for that. Yeah, listen, Venom could have been. Listen, as much as I enjoyed the Venom movies, don't get me wrong, they could have been way better. This one could have been way better, and you're right. There are opportunities missed here, but they said this is 90 minutes. This is what we want to do in our hour and 35, and they hit all the high spots that everybody was there to see. I had a lot of fun with it. Could it have been better? Oh yes. Venom, Let There Be Carnage could have been like a half hour better. I mean, but like I said, the mission was to get to Peter Parker and the end credit scene. It wasn't. That's what it sucks about that. Amy Pascal and all these people that are involved in that, they sacrificed themselves to get to a Spider-Man that's not even their Spider-Man. It's their Spider-Man, but it's not the one that they could cultivate. So yeah. Listen, the Venom movies are not like The Arrival or some shit, but they're still fun. I had fun. Terrifier movie. That's not my horror. And the story was fucking stupid. I'm sorry. The story of Terrifier, I'll say it right. It's just dumb. But you know what? I don't go into Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner looking for a story. It's not what none of those people that were there dressed up as Art the Clown, that were there wearing the t-shirts, that were there doing all that stuff. None of those people were like, the story is intriguing. Did I miss anything? No. They were there to see Art cut and gut, and they were served well.
Yes,
they were there to see him blow that fucking horn and put chainsaws up people's asses and do awful shit to people. That's what they're there for. So was it the greatest movie of all time? Did it have a great story? No.
Well, if your criteria is that, it probably is the greatest movie of all time.
That's what I'm saying. It's up to the person. Some people are going to call Terrifier 3 absolute trash. It's not trash to that person who couldn't wait for that fucking movie to come out, that was wearing their art shirt, that came to the damn thing dressed up as a clown with the right down to the horn. Those people love it. And you know what? As a horror fan, even though it's not my horror, they got their horror. And that was probably one of the coolest things about being in that sold out pack, is just seeing the people be satisfied. That relationship, like I always say, between that director and that writer and that screenwriter and their audience, no matter who else is in between, they know they have an audience. They met the expectations of their audience. It doesn't matter what I think. I think it's silly. I'm sick of seeing art everywhere. But once again, Terrifier fans, listen. I as somebody who's been disappointed a lot of times, whenever a customer gets what they asked for and what they were expecting and they're satisfied, to me, satisfied customers are my last bud. So the Terrifier people, have at it, man. All right. That's fine. I thought Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was weak. I love the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and I thought the third one was good, but I didn't think it was. I don't think they ever with the three they ever reached the one from three. That's just my opinion. So, all right, it is 11:53. Go ahead, slip that. We're about to wrap it up here.
In the Terminator, the T-800 meets three punks. One he kills, one he knocks out or possibly kills, and last he acquires his clothes from. Do you think he kills the other two punks off camera, or let them live?
Let them live.
I mean, he's not programmed to kill them,
Yeah.
so and he only kills that one guy because he was interfering in his mission. So yeah,
and that's it. And he kills the he only kills when he has a reason to. When he kills the gun dealer, because he shoots him off camera, it's because that gun dealer will probably
because it's like it's like the gun dealer is expecting him to pay him for all the guns. It's like, well, you're standing in my way. It's like
I'm leaving with these guns. So yeah. But if you look at it, he didn't go into the bar blasting. He went right for that one person. He was looking for Sarah Connor. Even in Terminator 2, when he throws a guy out of the helicopter, the only people that the T-1000, hey, what's up, man? The only people that the T-1000 killed were people that were essential to dying in their mission. Like when he killed that kid's parents.
Yeah.
That was because he was mimicking them.
Yeah. The first one, the only reason he kills the other two Sarah Connors is because they have incomplete records. All they know about Sarah Connor is that there's John Connor's mother is a woman named Sarah Connor living in Los Angeles in the year 1984, and there's 3 Sarah Connors in the phone book, so he has to take them all out to be sure.
Yeah, and his program is so simplistic that he may not even know if he's killed the right one. He just knows that they all have to die. He knows that they have to eliminate all possibilities.
And,
so yeah,
that's why we see that when he kills her roommate at first, and the only reason he knows he got it wrong is when Sarah calls and the answering machine picks up.
Yeah.
Slipknot.
But they wouldn't have died if he had modern technology at his disposal.
Well, what happens to surviving punks? There's no mention of the dead public punks later in the movie. Well, they didn't really. There's no reason to.
There was other things going on.
It's not a like a big plot point the movie has to dwell on. It's like the Terminator killed one of those punks. It's like the LAPD will find the body. It's like, but they won't be able to pinpoint it. Maybe if their forensic science department is really up to date, they might be able to trace it to the guy who goes in the police station later on and takes out all the cops.
They'll put it all together.
Yeah,
they're gonna put it all together because once
they're gonna put it together as far as they can without knowing about Skynet and time travel.
Yeah. And so, but they'll know that it's this guy because they got a description of him, and obviously when he comes back in Terminator 2, that's the guy. So, yeah. All right. Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, they were cannon fodder. They were there to die. They were there to die or get It's like in the biker.
Yeah, and he doesn't kill those guys, but he fights back because they're putting up a fight about handing over the one guy's clothes.
Yeah, and that's before John Connor tells them you can't kill.
Yeah.
So that's already in their initial programming is only mission essential killing.
Yeah.
Is really allowed. When Eddie meets the hippies. Oh, yeah. I mean, I thought the hippie thing was kind of like a direction that they didn't really need to go to, but it ends up working out. Everything in the movie ends up working out. But like I said, the nature of this whole universe and whatever Sony's doing, it's left open for interpretation. We don't know if this is going to be the last one. I'm almost certain that this isn't the last.
I'd agree, yeah.
Tom Hardy. I think it might be the last movie. But
it's the last Venom movie, but it's not last Venom appearance.
I do wish if they do Venom, and I hope it's years down the line because it's forced at this point, that it's not Tom Hardy's Venom for Tom Holland. I hope if you want to use the substance and they're connected, I think that Venom needs to mean something to that character the same way it would have in some other universe. I don't think it's a good idea for Tom Holland to inherit Tom Hardy's Venom and that personality. I think they should develop that. I really disagree with them doing it so soon. Peter Parker is not in a point of his life where Venom needs to be there. That's just fans, saying, like I said, fans' minds are a lot of times scrambled eggs. You want to take the highest, most popular things and forget that there's a story that this character exists in between. Peter Parker, right now, where Peter Parker's at in his life, is some of the best storytelling you have for Spider-Man. Why the fuck am I going to throw Venom in the middle of all that? He has at least 25 villains that make up that period of his life that are far more entertaining and far more relevant than Venom is right now. So you're bypassing all those just to get to a high spot. You can get to that later down the line, but let him develop himself. He just got his own costume that's not affiliated with anybody. Let that be a story for a little bit. Let him being a man on his own and all that, because by the time he gets the black costume, he's hooked up with Mary Jane again and all this other stuff. He's damn near married. He's done with college. Unless they do a time jump, but I hope they wouldn't do that, because then you're jumping over some of the best stuff that makes Spider-Man. You're jumping over his evolution. And I hope they don't do that just for some fanboy logic. Let's get Venom. Let's get let's the top 10 Venom and just stuff them in them. You can get to those. Good storytelling will get you to those villains. Rush storytelling will get you Spider-Man 3. All right. So I say, when it's time for him to come in, bring him in. But he should not be in Spider-Man 4. And Knowles should be nowhere near a Spider-Man movie. Knowles not even a Spider-Man villain. But Knowles going to be in Spider-Man 4. I hope those rumors are bullshit. Because Knowles is barely stomachable when he's fighting Venom, because the story was lame. The King in Black story looks cool, but it's just the same template. Godlike character. Stick him in, gonna conquer the universe, takes out other godlike characters because you won't believe this guy can do it unless he does something drastic. And it's like, dude, you got high. What is this? You know what? I mean, let's use some imagination, but not even with Spider-Man. Let's use the Spider-Man framework of the stories that are already there. Let's do that before you start jumping into I don't need to see Holland's Spider-Man ever on the same screen as Carnage. I don't need to see that. So I hope they do a better job of defining Tom Holland on his own than a lot of fans are wanting him to do. Because like I said, you hear on Twitter and everywhere else, when are we going to use Venom? I'm like, dude, seriously. Plus the character's been saturated now. We just had a third movie for Venom. Who knows how much money it's going to break even with? Right now, it's underwater as far as what it goes. I don't need to see the character. If we end up doing a third trilogy, which will put Tom Holland in his mid-30s, maybe, depending on how you make those, or close to 40, he's always going to look like he's 25. Then if you want to bring in some of these more recent developments, like, when I say more recent, the last 35 or 40, then bring in this. But before you even get to Venom, you already got like 40 years of villains to bring in that you need to have in Spider-Man's mythos in order to develop his character, to keep you entertained. So I hope that's what they do. That's my Australian there. The other Australian. Hi, Australian.
Baby sister.
I don't want to talk to you people.
Which I love. It's like I wish. I'd wanted to when we did the the parents' night out. Again, I'd sit out a watch party that night. I would have loved to kind of pull up my phone during the watch party and kind of introduce you guys to some of the kids, especially Aaron, because our shared martial arts interests. But yeah, but they told me it's like, yeah, the parents might be comfortable with like putting their kids' face on the internet, which is totally understandable. But yeah.
I see some people who are okay with it, and then some celebrities who put like a happy face in front of their kid's face.
Yeah.
And then some celebrities that are not. It's like it's just weird. It's different. It all depends on who the parent is. Like So,
all right. I think we covered. I think that covers everything though for the evening. Though.
Yeah, I don't have the energy for an open panel tonight, guys. It's been a long day. Sorry, Jorgo. We'll do open panel tomorrow when we're watching.
The Penguin, yeah.
So, all right, guys, that's it. Clocked in at about
2:51, and of course, as we all sign off as we always with as Spidey says, "Trauma must flow."
That's why I don't want you assholes on a panel. Your non-words.
that Ruth now has tattooed on her body.
Well, Art the Clown's going to be on there somewhere. So, I mean,
Well, Try's art spelled backwards.
Traw's train spelled wrong. Make that t-shirt. All right,
Brother, good
Miles
work.
Quinlan. See you later.
Later, guys.